of all ages. The big show's on the radio. It's time for the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, rest of the world. It is great to be with you. I am Rob. Pleasure is exclusively mine, directly across the table from me. On the other side of the glass, both literally and metaphorically, he is the pinnacle of professionalism. He is the great one, Colonel Grudge, the alpha, the omega of ESPN Upstate, hashtag dad kicks, the content cash cow. He is Lonzo, and it's Friday, big dog.
Yeah, and I am in the presence of MJF. And it's pretty cool to be sitting across from MJF right now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, first of all, you're not a wrestling fan. But second of all, you're not on the stream. And if you were on the stream, you could see exactly what I'm talking about right now. He's better than you. And you know it. Yes.
I am not better than anybody. However, as your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champions, the Greenville Triumph, are not only back in the playoffs, but tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock at Legacy Early College, they are hosting the Chattanooga Red Wolves in the USL League One championship semifinals. For the first time today, I have broken out the Greenville Triumph championship ring from last year. I was fortunate enough to pick up one of the championship rings from last year, and am adorning it. It's gotta go pinky, right, Zoe? For two reasons. One,
for the reason I just said,
it looks really dope that way, and number two, Lonzo, because it doesn't fit on any other finger.
Come on, see, I would have just went with the MJF thing because people aren't going to know that's not going to fit, because that would imply you have like fat knuckles or something.
I do.
Yeah,
but I also got a championship ring from the Triumph.
You
boys.
do.
Also got a championship ring from the Triumph.
I am jealous because you and I need to have rings made. We need to do that as the champions of South Carolina when it comes to a sports talk.
I kind of don't hate that idea, to be honest.
But it needs to go on the middle finger. Just cause. Just cause.
And upside down, so when we show it off. Oh, man, what a day that we have going on. Texter says, Rob asked Lonzo why he is happy to see Huggy Bear. And also, after his Xbox horror, he may need a Huggy Bear hug from Rob Brown. I want it to be known, ladies and gentlemen. I want it to be known that after we were named the best sports talk radio show in the state of South Carolina by the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, and this is a true story, I got a hug from Lonzo. Full out bro hug, too.
It was solicited, though, so I don't know if it counts as much.
It absolutely counts.
Yeah.
It absolutely counts.
Speaking of solicitation, the reason why the pimp talk is on there is people were talking about Cam Newton and saying they don't like him because he dresses like a pimp. And here's what I said on our sister station 106.3 WRD. How do you know what a pimp dresses like? And in which case, the older listeners mentioned Starsky and Hutch.
Huggy Bear.
And here's the thing: how do we know that was an accurate depiction of what a circa 1974 pimp looks like? I don't know. Hollywood has told us that's what pimps look like. I don't think real pimps probably look that way. I wouldn't know. The text line are experts of what pimps look like. But I'm guessing that a real pimp probably could be walking down the street next to you and you wouldn't know. Because why would you say, hey, police, I'm a pimp? I don't think you do that.
I don't remember what it was. But there was a movie many moons ago that had a character in it that was a pimp, and they used an actual pimp. Like they met a pimp and basically were going to him for like, tell us about how the culture actually works. And they made him an actor in the movie. He ended up playing the role. I got to remember what movie it was. I'll think about it and look it up. Also, the OG Starsky and Hutch was great, but when they remade with, who was it, Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, I think, remade Starsky and Hutch, and they had Snoop play Huggy Bear, and it was one of the greatest roles of Snoop Dogg's distinguished acting career.
I never saw it because, I was such a fan of the original series that I figured it wouldn't be an homage, but more like a retelling that would, bother me. So I just didn't watch it. As the purist of 70s TV that I am.
As of course you are. Of course you are. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very busy show on the broadcast today. Very busy show on the broadcast today. And we start it right now.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is time for the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, and the dog. After I did my FM radio voice yesterday, Lonzo, I got challenged by a listener to do a full segment as that character. Like to do a full segment as knockoff second-rate FM radio DJ voice guy.
I just got to say, Rob Brown, we've done that before. You know what? We can
We've gone full segment. I don't know.
We could do that.
I don't know.
There might be some people down the hall that come in and say, "Yeah, stop."
Guys,
because we're too close, too on the button, too, giving away secrets.
It's not an insult to everyone down the hall on Classic Rock 101.1.
So you're being specific. I wasn't.
He knows. He knows. Lunch breakdown, 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever your lunch break might be spent with. We start with item number 1. We found out mere minutes after we got off the air yesterday that Odell Beckham Jr. has selected the club that his next chapter will be written with, and it is the Rams of Los Angeles? ? Yes. Period. That is exactly who he picked. Free agency over after he cleared waivers. The 3-time Pro Bowl wide receiver signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. According to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, Beckham's deal is worth up to $4.25 million. Beckham will receive $500,000 in a signing bonus, a $750,000 salary, and up to $3 million in team-based incentives. There was a little bit of confusion because Beckham was reported to be on the fence between signing with the Rams, Packers, or Saints, but ultimately chose to sign with the Rams, who were in the running to earn one of the NFC's top playoff seeds. The rumors were that had New Orleans been more secure at the quarterback position, then Odell would have elected to go back to Louisiana. But because there are big question marks surrounding what happens to the Saints with Jameis Winston out for the rest of the year, he elected to go to the top-tier contender, at least as he saw fit, the L.A. Rams. According to Rappaport, how about this stat? CBS Sports data scientist Stephen O. Lonzo, I love this. The addition of Beckham has increased the Rams' season win projections, Lonzo, from 11.9 to 12.
Wow. Wow. That'll do something for your ego. An entire, 10th of a point? Way to go.
I have multiple things. Number 1, Dr. Stephen O., data scientist Stephen O., how in the world did you come up with that number?
Wait, is it Steve-O? It is
technically Steve-O.
He just went Stephen O.
His last name is O-H.
Oh, okay.
His last name is
I-O.
O-H.
I-O.
Stephen O. has decided that the win projection for the Rams went from 11.9 to 12 with the addition of Odell. He's good for a 10th of a win.
Paging
How about that?
Dr. O.
That means, Alonzo, that Odell Beckham. We're just going to start it off today. Odell Beckham Jr. is good enough to beat a team for 4 minutes of football.
Love that Odell Beckham.
The Rams' chances of winning the division have risen from 23.3 to 24.4%, and the odds of winning the Super Bowl have jumped from 11.1 to 11.5%. It's going to be interesting to watch this play out, mainly because Cooper Kupp, who we talked about yesterday, Alonzo and I did off the air, actually. Cooper Kupp.
On the stream, though.
On the stream,
technically still on the air.
Cooper Kupp is currently, Lonzo, on pace to be the NFL's receiving Triple Crown champion this year. Leads the NFL with 74 receptions, more than anybody else, 1,019 yards, more than anybody else, and 10 touchdowns, more than anybody else. The other two wide receivers, Van Jefferson and tight end Tyler Higbee, have caught a combined 107 passes for 1,313 yards and 9 touches. And Robert Woods, the speedster, is still there as well. The Rams have thrown for 2,771 yards on the arm of Matt Stafford, 23 touches and 6 INTs through 9 games. We'll be interested to see if he fits in. The texter says, ESPN, the Rams just gave themselves cancer. A lot of people feel that way about Odell, and I think it's a fair way to feel about him, Zoe. I think it's a fair way to feel about the guy. We have seen Odell be one of the most prolific wide receivers in the league. We've also seen Odell blow up chemistry in a locker room. We've gotten both out of Odell Beckham. We'll see how he fits in with the LA Rams.
So the thing is, the details of the contract. So it's just for this year, or is it this year and next year?
It's a 1-year deal, which would, I believe, just run through this year.
So he'll be okay. He'll be okay. I don't think that he's such a pariah that he will cause irreparable damage in just a few games in a playoff run. I think he'll be fine going forward. And plus, I guess maybe he understands that he's auditioning for the next team. If he comes in and if he does what he's done the last 2 times, people won't touch him anymore.
Yeah,
I know it's you. I'm believing that there's maturity and some other things that probably may not be there as far as business wise goes. But he's got to do well, and he's got to be quiet, and he's got to look happy, and he's got to tell Daddy, that's enough.
Facts. I suspect Odell Beckham Sr.'s YouTube channel will probably go quiet for a little while, but we'll see. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. We're going soccer heavy for the rest of this segment, as tonight, big match. Team USA taking on Mexico, El Tri, in a World Cup qualifier. Mexico currently at the top of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying table. The Americans are 3 points out. So a win here would end up putting them level with Mexico for the number 1 spot, and with, if there was such a thing, a tiebreaker by way of a heads-up victory. But they are also 1 point ahead of third place Canada. So a loss by the Americans and a win by Canada would move the Canadians into a tie for second. A loss by the Americans and a win by Canada would drop the Americans down to third. A draw from the Americans and a draw from Canada would keep the Americans in second, the Canadians in third. A draw for the Americans and a win for the Canadians would drop the U.S. down to third, even though they picked up a point. The Americans need a win over Mexico tonight. And there are a few storylines and aspects we are keeping an eye on. Chelsea has already sent word to the U.S. men's national team asking them to please be cautious in the return of Christian Pulisic. He has not played much after injuries earlier this year. He had an ankle injury that he picked up with the U.S. in September in Honduras. From September 10th to November 1st, he did not play in a single match for club or country since August 15th, nearly 3 months ago. Christian Pulisic has played only 173 minutes. So the question is, will he be in full fitness for this match tonight? And I think we'll know right out the gate. If Christian Pulisic is in the starting lineup, then it means that either A, Greg Berhalter believes that Pulisic is in full form, or B, that Greg Berhalter does not care and knows that this game is a big win for Team USA and is going to run the risk of further injury to Christian Pulisic. They need him out there tonight. He is the best player on this roster, but you've got to be careful with that ankle injury. Second guy I'm keeping an eye on tonight for the Americans, we're going to dive deeper into this later on in the show, is Ricardo Pepi, who has had the fans excited over the past couple of games. Not just because he has a fun name to yell when he scores, but because he scores. Ricardo Pepi has fans excited. The striker position has been a fat question mark for the Americans over the past couple of over the past couple of years, and they feel like they have maybe found a guy. However, Pepi has not scored a goal in his last 6 games in all competitions and ended his MLS season with 1 goal in his final 9 games. It's been a bit of a drought for a young man that had a few goals against this same team earlier and has had a few other big ones in qualifying recently. The Americans, remember, were in a bidding war to get Ricardo Pepi to sign in the red, white, and blue instead of joining El Tri, and they were able to get that win. And they end up here hoping that the young man out of El Paso, Texas, will show up tonight. We're going to break, again, more of that game down later on in the show, but we got to get to item number 3. Greenville, you are hosting a big-time event on Saturday night as well as your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champions. Your Greenville Triumph are back home at Legacy Early College tomorrow night, 7 p.m. They take on the Red Wolves out of Chattanooga. This is a team that Greenville has recent experience with. Remember, they played the Red Wolves to a draw in the second to last game of the season, the final home match. It was a 1-1 draw. It was a well-played game that, frankly, as an unbiased analyst, as of course I always am, Greenville probably deserved to win. Lot of shots on goals, a lot of opportunity. It was out of Chattanooga's, man, one of the greatest goalkeeping performances I have ever seen live out of the Red Wolves netminder. But Greenville gets another opportunity. They are closer to full fitness than they have been at any point all year long. I have had throughout this week conversations with a handful of different players. I have talked with the folks in the front office about this match. I have talked with John Harkes, and we're going to have John Harkes coming up in a little while. I don't ordinarily rerun interviews. I don't ordinarily bring interviews back, but because this is such a big match for the Triumph, on Wednesday, we had the opportunity to talk with the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, Coach John Harkes. We are going to rerun that interview for you coming up in about 12 minutes from right now. So if you're a Triumph fan and you missed that interview with Harksey on Wednesday, we're going to play it back for you coming up here in about 12 minutes or so, and we'll hear from John Harkes. But this is a big match. If the Greenville Triumph put away the Chattanooga Red Wolves in the USL League One semifinal on Saturday night, they move on to the USL League One championship final, where they will try to defend this ring and earn another one. We are waiting to see who will win from the other side of the bracket. If it is the Tucson FC, then Tucson, assuming a Greenville win, will come to Greenville for the USL League One championship next Saturday. However, if Union Omaha, the number 1 overall seed in the bracket, was to beat Tucson this weekend, then if Greenville wins, they will go to Omaha for the USL League One championship final. We're going to hear from John Harkes coming up here in about 12 minutes. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll break down this Odell move and how it impacts the NFC playoff race. We got that coming up for you. Remember, at 2 o'clock, as we do every Friday, it is prep football time. John Epps, Kevin Thomas from Moving the Chains will join us. Scott Boras, perhaps the most powerful agent in the MLB, had some statements earlier this week that I want to address as well. It's going to be a busy day No throwaway segments today, ladies and gentlemen, except for the ones we do on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate, I'm Pat Pauley.
No, there's a burning smell on the first floor.
You saw the email too?
Yes. Oh, more tickets.
Already put in for him. Already got him.
Did you?
I love James Taylor, dude. He's one of my favorites. Love James Taylor.
Sure, it's a high energy event.
He's really funny. Like, he's a genuinely funny dude.
Way about, I mean, is he like 85 years old by now or something?
It's him and Jackson Brown. Well, I love the singer-songwriter genre. Always have.
You know, Steven, that's a great idea, but man, that's a lot of effort.
Some elevator music. When we run the Harks interview, can we put the sound in to the stream so we're not just not playing anything to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always do the elements. It should be in there. If it's not, then
Oh, because I know like the Fight Club intro didn't go.
yeah, not the I don't do
Okay.
the intros,
Okay.
but the actual interview.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Fight Club, just so I don't get flagged by Disney
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
I
true,
mean,
fair enough.
yeah. I think it's more about YouTube than it is Facebook.
It is. Dexter says, I wonder if Dexter said, I wonder if Odell Beckham consider going to Arizona before committing to the Rams. I'm sure the fans don't give a boat, though. See, that's a magnificent text, Lonzo, because he managed to wrap up every mistake I made on air this week into one text.
I would say text of the week, and I mean that literally because that text just covered the entire
whole
week.
Every mistake I made all week long is all condensed into one hot take.
We don't believe in mistakes. We believe in happy accidents.
The Bob Ross Show, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
By the way, it's on Netflix if you didn't know.
And there's a reason why there's a Bob Ross poster right next to me.
Yeah.
Just to remind me when I make a mistake, it's okay.
I have very much enjoyed the next generation discovering Bob Ross. Like there's been a resurgence of kids getting into art because of Bob Ross. I think it's great.
When the first Bob Ross pop came out, I went on a quest to find it and had to go to several different places before I finally did. Now they're everywhere, but when they first came out, it was difficult to find because people were snatching them up.
I was given a handful of Christmases ago a Bob Ross bobblehead, and there's a button on it, and when you push it, it plays recorded Bob Rossisms, right?
Ooh.
So it sits right next to where when I'm at the house doing show prep, I've got my little workstation there, and it sits right there. So if I get frustrated, I just ask Bob Ross for a little encouragement. There's no mistakes. There's only happy little accidents. That man was so like, I don't know.
We need to get a. We've got stand up of sports guys in here. We need to get one of Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
Yeah, I just want it stand.
Bob Ross fathead.
I'm guessing it would bother Diesel.
I don't care
because it's Bob Ross is so the opposite of Diesel that it would. I mean, because he's so high strung, he's into his death metal and all that stuff, and there's Bob Ross bringing him down every day. It's the ultimate troll. I like it.
Same texter says, thanks, guys. I composed that text step by step. ESPN, no one is saying that Odell was bad in the locker room at the Browns nor the Giants. That man has never had a quarterback. He's not wrong. He's not wrong unless you think Baker Mayfield is a quarterback. And by the way, Baker and the boys went out and put 41 up on the board against a decent Cincinnati team last weekend.
I heard it described, I think, on Get Up this morning that it was, I think it was Ryan Clark that said that it's more about Baker's ego because now he's number one and he doesn't have to. The way he kind of disguised it in a way which was really accurate. He no longer has to look for that guy who he knows is going to get mad if he doesn't get the ball. He didn't say it that way, but that's what it is. You no longer have to look for that guy who's above team. You can look for teammates who are all good with, sharing equally. At least that's what I got out of it.
It's
receivers are divas. That's fine.
Sure.
I get you want the ball. I get
some
that.
Quarterbacks are divas too. Let's not pretend they're not.
Probably most of them.
Yeah.
As a former offensive lineman, I would like to think they all are. Thinking they're better than everyone else. But you know what? That's why they get paid a lot of money. They get a lot of the credit. They get a lot of the blame. They get a lot of the blame. A lot more of the blame than probably they deserve. And they're playing better because he's no longer on the team. And some of the national media, they don't understand. And it just makes me think when some of those players that don't get it, they probably were me first and not team first when they were playing also.
I'm intrigued, right? I'm very intrigued to find out, to see what comes next for Odell Beckham and how he fits in.
By the way, I hope he does well because even though I would like to see the Rams do well, not, ahead of my teams, but still I'd like to see them do well because of all the flack their quarterback got for so many years in Detroit.
Listen, I don't want any teams to ever win titles, right? I can't stand LA fans. They're the most fickle fan base in America. One of my favorite seasons ever was it the year after the year after Kobe left? Remember that year that the Clippers were really good and the Lakers were bad, and all of a sudden LA was a Clippers town, right? Like I remember, I'm not a huge fan, but Jim Rome had a whole segment in LA where he ran at the LA fans for basically ditching the Lakers for the Clippers when the Clippers were good. there's a reason so many NFL teams have left LA that Roger Goodell had to basically strong arm teams back into LA, right? It's a huge TV market, but if they're not top of the league, LA fans don't show up. I don't wish any good things for the LA Rams or the LA Chargers because of why they're there, because of what they did to their fans in St. Louis and San Diego. But I am pulling for Matt Stafford, right? And if Baker Mayfield is an ego guy, as some folks have argued that he is, if Baker Mayfield is an ego guy, Lonzo, Matt Stafford's the opposite. I don't think Stafford's an ego guy because I don't think an ego guy would have survived what Matt Stafford went through in Detroit and the absolute joke of an organization that the Lions are. I don't think an ego guy would have survived there. So if you genuinely believe that that the issue was Odell and not Baker, if you genuinely believe that Odell's failure in Cleveland was because he could not coexist with Baker Mayfield and the ego that he has, you got to believe that Matt Stafford is kind of the antithesis to that, right? He's the opposite of that. Yeah, 4 guys got ejected from that game, Zoe. 4 guys got ejected from the
for what? All I saw was a little bit of grappling, and it wasn't even that skilled.
Because dude just shoved Rudy Gobert aside, hard fouled him, and then shoved him to the floor. And Indiana and Utah both got into it.
Straight up a floor drop, or was there flopping going?
No,
on?
it was a shot. Miles Turner gave Rudy Gobert a shot to the ground. He went down hard. They came up. They said, like, I got excited when I got the ESPN notification last night because they're like, big scrap in the Pacers Nuggets games lead to Pacers Jazz game leads to ejections.
He just grabbed his shorts and pulled them down.
Like it was a hard foul, but right there's what did it. It's not like I thought it was. I thought I was gonna watch an MMA fight, and then I look, and they're like, I don't know if that happened in a WWE match, we'd call it a boring match.
Well, and if I was throwing music, Ring Around the Rosies would have been playing right there.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute. On Wednesday, we got the opportunity to interview head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champion, Greenville Triumph, Coach John Harkes. Don't ordinarily run it back, but I'm going to run this one back because it was a good interview. And the boys are in the scrap of their lives, well, the season, tomorrow in the USL League One semifinals. I got that interview coming up next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. I edited it down to an intro and outro, so it's whatever.
Well, it doesn't have music on it.
Well, with the music, you have to add music, but yeah.
I was just making sure.
Yeah.
I was going to listen anyway, just because.
We actively manage client portfolios based on our current views of the market. Our fees really stand that clients want proactive communication and guidance, not just provide cookie cutter portfolios. No,
I believe we've got it.
Portfolios to their specific goals and needs. We even offer resources on Social Security, Medicare,
About a victory on Monday. Let's take a break.
We don't sell commission products. That's standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first. So when do you make more money? When your clients make more money? Yep. Transparent. Structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
So I'm really going to get into this on tomorrow's show, but I unfortunately was in the middle of the modpocalypse. That's what they're labeling it.
Yeah.
The modpocalypse.
What are they doing with it?
The game is gorgeous, by the way. Yeah, the stepped up graphics on the Series X is the depth to it.
Worth the upgrade.
It's almost 3D like.
Yeah.
And the water. I usually don't get into it. Well, the water looks so.
Yeah.
But it does. It does. But the problem is, if you still use mods, the mods will cause files to corrupt.
Okay.
I got a bunch of corrupted files
gotcha.
from saves, and I would get all the way through the opening and get to where you can move around and stuff. And if you die, which I died a couple times,
Right.
or if you, because I have it on a higher level and I don't have some of my mods that give you some really good stuff right away as far as weapons and things goes. When you come back to black screen. You hear the music and everything, you can't move, you hear black screen. And so immediately I started, going online, seeing if other people were having the problems. And that's when I found the mod apocalypse, and Cameron never crashed once. And then I found out today that they think the biggest problem is followers. So I have some custom followers. They have some really fleshed out characters on Skyrim that will follow you around. They got good dialogue and all this kind of stuff. And I have a couple followers on there, and apparently that's what's causing it. And what's happened is they fixed the game so well, the game runs too well, and the mods can't keep pace.
Right.
So the computer system counts it as an error and fills it in with blank, with something that ends up being a black screen. So I don't know how they're going to fix it. The best way to do it is to play without mods.
But that's no fun.
Well,
once you get exploding chickens, how do you go back?
Here's the mod that I absolutely have to have, and I don't think that it will. I'm find out tonight is unlimited carry weight, because I'm a loot junkie and I can't help it. And with unlimited carry weight, I can pick up everything, and then I can modify it, and then I can sell it at exorbitant prices, which you've seen me do in there. And I mean that's
So. I didn't know this, but Azora in Skyrim, who's one of the characters from. She's one of the. Anyway, she's in one of the guilds. Is voiced by Linda Carter, aka Wonder Woman.
Really, Linda Carter's in the voice cast. I didn't know that.
Azora is that goddess who I think you interact with, but she also.
Oh, no. I know who you're talking about. No way.
Yeah, that's Linda Carter. And this character is Linda Carter, who you will now go home and seek out in the game tonight.
Oh, no, I can't stand her. I know who she is.
Can't stand Wonder Woman? That's terrible.
I'm a Gal Gadot guy. No, I loved Linda Carter back in the day. I was a 70s kid. Linda Carter was amazing.
I believe we've got him on the line, so we'll get Coach Harks up here in just a second. Remember the Triumph at home Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Taking on the Red Wolves of Chattanooga in the USL League One Championship semifinal. A win would move them 90 minutes closer to going back to back. And are we good, Zoe? I think we're good. Head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champions, Coach John Harks, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Coach, welcome back, man. How's life, my friend? One of my first crushes.
I'm good, Rob. Thank you so much for having me on. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yeah, great to be on.
Love to have it. Love to have it. And hey, man, loosey goosey, right? No pressure, no nothing. It's only the USL League One playoffs. You guys have been here, done that, right?
There's a couple of dark outs.
Yeah, I mean, we first playoff game though in history that we'll be hosting at home, which is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to that Saturday night. And looking forward to, big challenge against Chattanooga, obviously. A team that's, is going to bring, 100% effort. They love to disrupt play. They're very good in the final third. They attack well. So, yeah, it's going to be a big game. And, we've had a big core fan base all year long, push us through the good times, the bad times, and the indifferent times. And, right now, the guys are on a high, in good confidence right now. And, looking forward to having that core fan base and people pushing us on Saturday night at home at Triumph Stadium at Legacy Early College. It'll be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
So season long, Coach. I mean, we've had you on a number of times during the season. And one of the things you guys stressed was being able to fight through the adversity, a handful of slow weeks right in the middle of the season. The last couple of weeks has been getting back up to full strength, getting guys trained up, getting the fitness back to be at your best. Talk to me about the bounce back from that middle part of the season where there were some concerns to not only making it into the USL League One playoffs, but climbing up to number 2 in the table and getting to host the semifinals in the Ville.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, Rob, it's just more of that self-belief, even when, you're not getting the results. And as you go through that adversity, it's about like, okay, how do we self-reflect? How do we check ourselves? What are we doing well? What can we do better? As coaching staff, what can we present to the guys and make sure we're doing open communication? But it's about teammates. It's about team first mentality, and the sacrifices for each.
Or Paul, every one of those guys tends to answer questions by talking about their teammates, by talking about the team mentality and the rest of the guys around them in that locker room. How important has that been to the success of this season?
It's been fantastic, and I think it's huge. It's a great point you bring up. We're always talking about the collective. It's about what's next to you, staff, players, how we push each other. The run that we went on towards the end of the season doesn't happen unless guys start to have that drive. They want to be competitive, but at the same time, it's more about, carrying the momentum and making sure that we're believing each other around the dressing room, on the training field, as we go to appearances, as we go to the game situations at the stadiums. It's more about just believing in each other. So the way we've done it is that we set the culture every day. Here's the expectations. We put the demands on each other to be better. We hold each other accountable all the time, and there's good communication there. So the minute that we switch that off, we're in trouble. We really are. But carrying that momentum forward, what we've done in the last 9 games of the season has been nothing short of remarkable. And it's an honor to coach these guys. They're fantastic. It's such a great group, and they have the resilience, but like I said, people are talking about the Coach of the Month award, congratulating me. I'm like, this is a collective award. It's just staff, players, everybody pushing together, to go through the good times and the bad times. So we want to carry it forward. And we've got a great opportunity on Saturday night. It is not going to be easy. It's a difficult game. They're always a difficult team to play against in Chattanooga. But we want to make sure that we come out on top at the end of that 90-plus minutes.
Talk to me about that upcoming 90-plus minutes at home Saturday night. I mean, the last game at home felt to me like maybe the most energetic and electric Triumph game of the season from Section 110 and from the sidelines, but no more important game than this one. This is a Chattanooga team that you guys are familiar with, second to last opponent of the season, one that you guys have had a couple of scraps with this year. How do you approach a game you're going to get their best and make sure that you guys give yourself every advantage to every chance to win at home?
Yeah, it's about preparation, Rob. The details, that work that we put in every day, and making sure that there's, you check for understanding. Everybody understands what our game plan is, what our tactics are. And then it's about guys just showing up on the night, making sure you win your one-on-one battles and stuff like that. Now, you don't know what's going to happen. I think there's always a good feeling. There's a positive energy that's within this group, and we always push on and be hopeful, and we're optimistic. But you never know. You never know. At the end of the day, I'm proud of these guys no matter what we do Saturday night. But yeah, of course, the plan is to go out and win, and instilling that confidence in these guys on a daily basis. What we're doing here every day is it's working because they believe in it. And there's challenges. You got to embrace those challenges, but the way you persevere all the way to the finish line, that's what we've got to do. And we've got great opportunity here coming at home, our first playoff game. And we don't want to leave it short. We want to finish it out and apply ourselves and execute on Saturday night so that we're doing this again the following week. And that's what we're looking forward to.
John Harkes is the head coach of the Greenville Triumph as they get set for a Saturday nighter at home. Legacy Early College, 7 o'clock, taking on the Chattanooga Red Wolves. Can you talk to me a little bit about the fitness of this club? I had a conversation with Noah Pilato a few days ago. I know he is one of the guys that has just been making his way back and is really focused on that. But you guys have kind of been dealing with injuries on and off all season long. What's the fitness of this club heading into Saturday night?
It's actually pretty healthy right now. You talk about Noah, he's been out for 4.5 months. Lachlan McLean was out 3 months at one particular time. We had 16 guys out of 20 field players actually injured during the season this year. And it wasn't anything specific like chronic, like loading or work that we're giving these guys that lends itself to that. So look, now it's at a point where the daily focus is on us getting healthy, and that there's competition for places now, and that we have a little bit more depth within our bench and guys coming off the field. Onto the field can actually make a difference and impact the game in a positive way. So it's good. We've got a couple of Will Mejia got a little bit of an ankle roll injury last weekend in an inter-squad scrimmage that we did. But right now, I think everyone's pushing forward. So hopefully we get that right. And, we want to stay healthy as much as we can to finish out the semifinal on Saturday night and hopefully in the final for the following week.
John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. What's the focus for this game, Coach? What are we concentrating on? I know at the end of the day, it's go out there and play the best 90 minutes you've played this season. But is there any different approach to this game with the, do or die, lose or go home mentality behind it?
Yeah, I think it's team and servant kind of leadership with our teammates, and I think we, from a tactical approach, we've got some great plans that we're putting out for them. Everybody's on board with it, which is fantastic. And now it's just about applying it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be this. Enjoy your process, enjoy the work you put into it, and honor it. Making sure that you don't leave it on the training ground. If you can take that over into the game situation, timing's everything. You don't want to peak too early. You want to make sure you're peaking right when that first whistle goes. And we want to get after this team. Right from the start, we want to get after Chattanooga. So we're hoping to do that. That's the plan. You've got to be able to adapt at certain times when the game, is going in a different direction. Can you recognize that, and can you adapt to it right away and figure that out? So we have some pretty intelligent guys here on this group, and looking forward to the game Saturday night.
Love to hear it. And Coach, last question, I'll let you go. I know you've got a ton to get ready for as we head towards Saturday night. I've asked you this question before, and it seems like if you've done sports for a long time, you know the obvious answer. But for a do-or-die game like this, with the guys facing down the toughest challenge they faced so far, we're trying to get Legacy sold out on Saturday. How important is it to have the fan sections there behind you guys filled up and energetic for this game?
Oh, it's huge. It's massive. They've been fantastic so far throughout the whole year. And as we get back to full capacity and everything, last weekend we were away at North Carolina FC. We had a lot of traveling supporters go up there. But the week before that was at home, and it was a sellout. And we want the same. We want to sell out. We want to hear them loud and proud, and we want to make sure that we're pushing forward. So, we appreciate it. They've been there for us all year long, and we need them more than ever on Saturday night.
Love to hear it. Coach John Harkes is the head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed League One champion Greenville Triumph. Saturday night, they are back home at Legacy Early College taking on Chattanooga Red Wolves. A win in that matchup would send them on to the USL League One finals. Coach, good luck on Saturday night pulling for the boys. We will see you at Legacy Early. Wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate platform and supporting us as well. We really, it goes a long way with our team. So thanks so much. Great to speak to you as always. Take care.
You got it. That's Coach John Harsh. You know, it's a lot of people don't know this, Lonzo, and this is one of my favorite things whenever we have a conversation about this. John Harkes was on the U.S. men's national team during one of the most successful runs they ever had back in the mid-'90s. The guy has played MLS. The guy has played Premier. The guy has played international soccer. He has played in World Cups. The Greenville Triumph, very, very lucky to have one of the most brilliant young soccer minds. It would not surprise me down the road to see John Harkes coaching on some of the biggest stages in the world. But right now, he is focused on Saturday night taking on Chattanooga Red Wolves. Again, a win would put the boys in the USL League One Championship Finals, which would be enormous. We'll have that full game breakdown on Friday. And then, of course, we will hopefully be talking about a victory on Monday. Let's take a break.
not magic that will deliver 1 billion packages to homes across the country this holiday. It's the United States Postal Service.
George, man, I sincerely cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. That's why we do this, dude. I know there are people that are going through a lot, and you are clearly one of them. I'm not going to put your comment up on screen just to respect your privacy. I assume you're cool sharing that, but that's why we do it, and that's why Lonzo and I come in here and try to have a good time every day for that exact reason. So thank you. That comment means means more to me than I can tell you, man. Thank you, George. Give a shout out to George Baker, who just left a very, very, very kind statement to Lonzo and I on the stream. And we've talked about this in the past, right? We've talked about this in the past. I got an email earlier after our ridiculous boy band segment earlier this week from this guy that was like, you guys are too immature. I can't listen because you're too silly. This is not a place for immaturity. Dude, we're in here to have a good time, man. We're in here to have a good time. Everybody takes everything in your life is so serious all the time. We come in here to have a good time, to goof off, to give you a break from whatever stresses and realities you have going on with your life. So, George, I appreciate those kind words, and everybody else that joins us for lunch every day, we appreciate it. When we come back, we got 2 big soccer games this weekend to break down. Zoe and I are going to look down the college and NFL schedule, give you some of the games that we'll be watching this weekend. Come on back. Hour number 2 is just around the corner. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Sorry, the immaturity thing is kind of redundant because we're talking about sports, which are games. Yeah. And, people are lucky enough, blessed enough to get paid to play a kid's game or to talk about a kid's game. If you only want serious stats, there are places you can go to for just that. And if that satisfies you, awesome. I'm guessing there's no place of maturity on these airwaves. I can speak for this show and the next one for sure. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to get it. Unless you're being very specific and you don't like some of the things that we talk about, like wrestling and things like that. And if so, and you're saying the next show is more mature, then, I don't understand your line of thinking.
I
apologize for my vocabulary seeming way too big today. I'm going to work on that. I'm using words I don't normally use.
Man. You should always strive.
No.
Always strive to be bigger and better, educated.
Yeah. I've been bigger. I don't want to be there again. And obviously maturity wins you awards.
Of all the promos, this might genuinely be the best one. There's some really, really A+ ones. This might be the best one.
I'm pretty proud of the Roger Goodell one, but the
Goodell one's very good
just because of I sync that music up so well. It just Although my favorite right now, and it shouldn't be, is the groin one. But just because
might lose a groin. What a line.
I'm also rather fond of Britt Baker, but
friend of the show, Britt Baker.
For obvious reasons why that's so good.
All right, hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show gets going now. This is ESPN Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo on the other side of the glass. Thanks for spending your mornings with us. All right. You know,
it's not really morning. I just don't want to put
lunch. Afternoon. I got.
You're still stuck
discombobulated.
You're stuck in Central Time still. It's what it is.
It's noon there too. I'm still wrong.
Oh, okay.
Got to go to Arizona for that statement to be correct.
Well,
ESPN.
California. Yeah.
I guess the guy who emailed you complaining about boy bands wants it his way, but I want it that way. Hashtag more boy band sports talk radio. Yeah, if you're looking for super serious sports talk radio, this ain't the show for you. I'm sorry. We still want you to hang out, but we don't take ourselves seriously.
If you're looking for
ever.
Last night, the NFL game, it was so serious. We're going to break down the stats for you in the next 35 or 2 hours. And we're going to break down every last little stat from every last little play because that's what you want. Because
you were going to do that and you dropped the DJ voice for a second and then turned it back on. Nice. Yeah.
We were dared, and I gave you the opportunity. I was bringing everything in,
I'm gonna have
and
to,
you just couldn't.
Listen,
yeah, but
when we do special segments, I have to mentally prepare myself for it. Like I have to mentally prepare.
Is there a place of zen that you go to get into that? So you just walk down the hall and listen for a little while, and then you're ready to go.
If I'm gonna do full segment of annoying talk or no FM radio DJ, I have to prepare myself for it. Instead, what we're going to talk about is the sports. Scott Boras is arguably the most powerful. Make it stop. If you're looking for super serious sports talk, bye. It's never going to end. I've created a monster. It's no longer Frankenstein's monster. It's mine. Scott Boras is arguably the most powerful person in baseball that doesn't actually work for Major League Baseball. He is a super agent that represents a ton of Major League Baseball's biggest names. And he had some complaints in a news conference that he held in front of a steakhouse at the general manager's meetings earlier this week. Scott Boras backed the demands of the Players Association for changes in the collective bargaining agreement that expires on December 1st. Most of the big heads in baseball right now believe that we are about to head to the 9th work stoppage in Major League Baseball's history. It would be its first since 95 if a lockout happens. But this one could be the nastiest of them all. Boras said on Wednesday that, quote, "This is the Easter Bunny delivering rotten eggs. Every team says, I need to do this because it's my only option, knowing I can't reach a divisional crest, I can't get the playoffs." What was he talking about? He said that the Atlanta Braves World Series win was spurred on not by great play, not by great roster management by Alex Anthopoulos, but was spurred on by teams tanking intentionally. He said, quote, "We have seen the championship in 60 days. The rules allow them to be a less than 500 team at August 1st and add 5 players from teams that no longer wanted to compete and for very little cost change the entirety of their team and system. And we saw this unfold to the detriment of teams that create at vast expense, planning and intellect and won over 100 games. In doing all this, we have now created an understanding that a fan would not know who the true team is until, frankly, the trading deadline," end quote. And I find that interesting because I get the point that Scott Boras is trying to make, right? Basically, what he's saying is that the rules are set up now where if a team decides that they don't want to be competitive anymore, they can just send their guys out on wherever. They can just send them on to the next level. And you allow other teams to what I'm assuming he's saying here is buy a championship. And I get what he's saying. I understand what he's coming from. But my counter argument, Lonzo, my question back to Scott Boras would be, so what's the solution, right? So what's your answer? What do you do instead? What's the next thing then if you don't like it set up as it is?
Your championship's not a real championship because other teams decided they just didn't want to play anymore. That's crap. That's what it is. It doesn't matter how you won the championship, aside from cheating. If you won it fair and square, you won a championship. When people go over the records, well, who won the championship, the MLB championship in 2021, it will say the Atlanta Braves. It won't say the Atlanta Braves because this team decided that they want to get rid of the players. This team decided to tank. No, it will say the Atlanta Braves. And winning championships is what you're there for, right? I thought.
Also, because you're spot on. Also, correct me if I'm wrong. Did the San Francisco Giants not have a chance to play in the playoffs? What happened? They got beat. The LA Dodgers, another 100-win team. Did they get a chance to the playoffs? They did. And what happened? They got beat by the Atlanta Braves.
It's the equivalent of, the better team lost today. No. You lost. You had the opportunity. You lost. Atlanta went all the way and won the whole thing. Why? Because they did.
Listen, I accept the premise that sometimes the better team loses, right? I mean, that we have seen, last night, the 6-2 Ravens lost to the 2-7 Dolphins. Lonzo, are the Baltimore Ravens a worse team than the Miami Dolphins?
They were last night.
And, overall.
And by the way, they played like it last night.
Really I'm like,
where is the hype on this?
Yeah.
It just.
They were real bad last night. Lonzo, if I told you that the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens were going to line up and play 10 games over the next 10 weeks, and I offered you to simply make one paycheck bet on who wins most of those games, who you taking?
Oh, without a doubt, I'm taking Baltimore.
Yeah, the better team lost last night. It happens. Now, Miami was the better team last night, but Baltimore's a better team, right? We know that. Sometimes the better team loses. But isn't that exactly why the playoffs are on the field and not on paper, right? Isn't that the oldest cliche in sports? We don't play the game on paper. So Scott Boras, what would be your solution? Teams aren't allowed to trade. Teams aren't allowed to ship guys around. Once a player's on a roster, they're locked in for the whole year. No roster moves throughout a season. If that is indeed your goal, right? If that is indeed your goal, then come out and say that. But I gotta suspect that Scott Boras, agent of the stars, is not going to accept a deal where his guys can't go to a contender in the middle part of the season and ultimately earn themselves more money, right? So I guess I just don't really understand what this guy's talking about, like what his goal is. Now, when it comes to that situation, I do know what the goal of this was. Scott Boras is a guy who is very well known for doing everything he can to get his players more attention so they can get more money. That's his job. I'm not even upset about it. Because what did he do? He had 4 or 5 throwaway lines about, the better team didn't win here. The better team didn't win here. The team that that's how baseball works, buddy. But then what did he do? He went on a run where he promoted his free agent, Nick Castellanos. He promoted Chris Bryant, Carlos Rodon, Michael Conforto, Corey Seager. All these guys that he represents, he did like 5 minutes on, I don't like the way that the trade situation is set up in Major League Baseball, and then about 20 minutes of hyping all his guys that are free agents this year. I got online on, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day he did this. And I'm watching Jeff Passan and all these top tier MLB talking heads talking about this situation. And they're all talking about him and his complaint about, oh, well, the better teams, the 100-win teams didn't win. The Braves were 500 in August, and they just picked up some guys, and now they're better? Yeah. Yeah, and this isn't even March. This isn't even March Madness, where the best team has to win in 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, and a winner, right? You got to win 6 games in March against 6 different teams. The point of a 7-game series is to let a better team have 7 games to get it together.
And as far as March Madness goes, you're playing 6 teams. Chances are you've never played before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in baseball, you played these guys and you're playing a long series. So you would think in a longer series, the better team would win. But it's about the team that's playing the best at that time.
And on top of that, it wasn't like the Braves got lucky in 3 and stole 1 in 4 from. They beat the Astros, right? They beat the Astros. It wasn't like they got lucky in 6 and 1 an extra against the Dodgers. They beat the Dodgers.
And my understanding, the Braves were on this trajectory. They just got there quicker than people thought they would.
Look, the Braves, he was right about one thing. At the All-Star break, the Braves were below 500. Below 500. They won the World Series. He's got a point about that. But that
also means less in baseball because of how many games they play.
Yeah. That's the point, right? Teams get hot. They pick up some spots. Yeah, it's unfortunate for the San Francisco Giants that they shared a division with the 1 game better 107 win. They shared a division with the Dodgers, and you had 200+ win teams that had to fight it out in the divisional round. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? Like that's how division. Now, if you want to get rid of divisions in baseball, I'll hear that argument. That there is a small part of me, Lonzo, that would actually be fine with getting rid of divisions in professional sports, right? We just have the NFC and the AFC, no divisions. Or we get rid of conferences, right? Just get rid of conferences. We have 32 teams. We spin the wheel to set up a schedule. In the top 8 teams or 10 teams or 12 teams, whatever you want it to be, go to the playoffs, seeded tournament fashion, 1 through 12 or 1 through 10 or 1 through 8 or whatever you want it to be. I'm not like diehard on that argument, right? I'm not like, let's make this happen. If it happens, I won't be upset about it. But the way the divisions have been structured in baseball, it's unfortunate for the Giants that they also had the other 100-win National League team in the same division and had to play them earlier in the playoffs than you like. But the Dodgers did, and they won, and they moved on, and they had home field advantage against the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves stole it from them and beat them. And then the Astros, season long, a better team than the Braves, had home field advantage in the World Series, and the Braves beat them. What is your argument? What is your goal here, Scott Boras? What is your goal? Texture said, Scott Boras' theme song, show me the meaning of being lonely. Tell me why I can't be there where you, the Braves, are. ESPN, the Ravens have escaped about 5 losses this year. They aren't good.
All right, what's your name?
That's the NFL, isn't it? That's the NFL. Hang on. We've had a lot of 12 and 13 win teams that won 4, 5, 6 games by a point. Now, I don't think the Ravens are Super Bowl favorites in the AFC by any stretch. But with Lamar, they could make a run. Texas says Lonzo needs to do Mets fans that can tell you the stats from the 1973 Team Voice when speaking about baseball news. It's one of your funniest promos. Yeah, I do need. I want to make Nerd Lonzo a character on the show.
How is it different than any other day?
At ESPN, Robin Lonzo to their boy band listeners. You drive me crazy. That's not a boy band though, right? Who is You Drive Me Crazy? I just can't sleep.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
I'm so excited. I'm in too deep. Oh, crazy.
All right, so I will say
Britney. It's Britney.
I was going to say the way you're moving your head kind of, I'm not so sure that's boy band.
No, it's Britney.
Yeah, because if you move it, you got to move your whole body if you're singing a boy band song.
Texter says the haters are nothing but a heartache. You guys do an amazing job and make our workday better. Thank you, Texter. It's very kind of you, even if you did hit me with yet another boy band lyric. All right, let's take a break. We got some calls lined up. We're going to talk USA v Mexico. We're going to talk Gamecock and Tiger football coming up next. Gamecocks on the road at Mizzou, and it's a pick'em game. Really interesting. We're going to break down why next on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. I am Rob. Lonzo at the helm. 844-477-3776 is the phone number. 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. Talk a little Gamecock football. The South Carolina Gamecocks are on the road this weekend. They'll be in the other Columbia in the Southeastern Conference as they take on the Tigers of Mizzou. This game effectively a pick 'em. Depending on what sportsbook you go to, some of them have listed South Carolina as a 0.5 or 1.5 point favorite. Some have listed Mizzou as a 0.5 point or 1.5 point favorite. We're going to break that game down here in just a minute, but Hank has called in to talk a little Gamecock football with us. Hank, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking a minute. Good to have you, bud.
How's it going, guys? First time, long time.
Oh, thank you, man. We appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time.
My question would be, after South Carolina's domination of your colleague Mark's Gators last weekend, do you think we'll be able to sustain the run game and imposing our will, or do you think that was more of a fluke one-off offensive line performance going into Missouri?
It was easily the best offensive lineman performance of the year, right? And I'm kind of caught in the middle here, Hank, because on one hand, the Gators, I think, got demoralized. I think the Gators were overrated, all right? I think they were overrated all season long. I think that's been proven. I think they had the game of their lives against Alabama, and then they got a little cocky, and I think that cocky himself knocked them off that perch in that game. Here's what's interesting about the game against Mizzou. Mizzou's kind of the exact opposite, right? Like, they're not a good ball club, but they are looking at this the same way that South Carolina's looking at this. This is a winnable football game for them, and it would be a big win for them if they were able to get it. Can South Carolina sustain what they did against the Gators? Yeah, I mean, they can. But the question's going to be, did this week go to their heads, or did this week motivate them because now they know what they need to do, now they know they can do it, etc.? I'd like to think the second, but with a first-year head coach, sometimes they can get caught up in the momentum a little bit too, especially a guy like Beamer who's never done this before. A performance like that can get caught up in the head, and you just expect it to happen again, and I think that's why this game is a pick'em game.
I appreciate it. I'd say I probably feel the same way. You know, if they prepared properly and let it give them confidence, but on the same time, it is Gamecock football, and as soon as something good happens, disaster is right around the corner.
Yeah, listen, I absolutely understand the – Lonzo's got a thing for big words today. The trepidation of Gamecocks fans, in that what we saw last week was the first time we've seen what we saw last week. And so if you're a Gamecock fan, Lonzo, on one hand, you're very excited about what you saw out of this team last Saturday.
Oh, absolutely, for a lot of reasons.
Right. But on the other hand, it's the first time you've seen it. Is that what they are now, or was that the anomaly?
Yeah, is this a culmination of all the hard work and an entire season of being incorporated into Beamer's scheme and the way he wants to play the game? And are you healthy enough and just everything, just this is where the team is now? Or was it just overly hyped for one game and you go back to mediocrity, or some would say below that? But I don't think so. I think this is what you're building for. You come out with that same kind of passion and remember how it felt last week and just keep playing that way. And there's every possibility that they can do that against, some would say, a lesser team than Florida.
I don't know that and look, it's a great win. And South Carolina was clearly the dominant team in that game last Saturday. I don't know, Lonzo, that I would go on the record and say that Florida's the lesser team, right?
When I say lesser team, I mean lesser than the opponent this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Gamecocks.
Yeah. I think Florida, I think everybody, a lot of Gamecocks included. By the way,
all right, by the way, unless you're a big-time SEC fan and someone says, if you just out of the blue go, Florida, Missouri, who's the better team?
Florida.
Automatically you're going to say Florida.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It is what it is, right? And on top of that, I'm comfortable saying most Gamecocks felt that way, Lonzo, because last week you saw the text line. We had a lot of Gamecocks fans going, we don't have a chance. I had a lot of Gamecock fans try to convince me that the reason that game was 75, 80% attendance instead of 95% attendance was because it was cold outside. Lonzo, you know I hate the cold.
I was going to say, don't entirely discount that when, Clemson fans would call that the armpit of the world down in Columbia. And when you're used to a certain kind of heat, the heat that some would say is hell light, any sign of cold is going to make you go, I don't really own a jacket.
Yeah, but if your team, let's be real here. If that Gamecocks team at that point was a one loss or an undefeated team, that stadium would have been packed. Willie B would have had people climbing up the back of the bleachers to watch that game.
Well, the next home game, we're going to have to check the temperature and see if it's comparable to this one.
That's Auburn next weekend.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep, that's Auburn next weekend.
And if the stadium is full, then the cold thing falls by the wayside. Or the fact that if they win against Missouri and then they're going up against Auburn, suddenly
who looks beatable, by the way.
Yeah.
If South Carolina does to Mizzou what they did to Florida, next week it will. He's going to be back to the Raffles. Let me get back to what I was saying. I had a lot of Gamecocks fans tell me the reason that game was poorly attended was because it was cold outside. Respectfully, I do not believe you. I don't believe you. You know what that game was? Was sparsely attended? Because y'all thought Florida was going to beat you. And I can go back on the text line to last Friday and point to multiple texts from Gamecocks fans because Lonzo and I both picked South Carolina in our picks. Granted, it was a 19.5 point spread. I didn't think there was any chance Florida was winning by 19.5, but it was a big spread. But Lonzo and I both picked South Carolina to beat the 19.5 point spread. And I cannot tell you how many texts we got on the show from Gamecocks fans going, you guys are crazy. Because Lonzo and I also both said, not only are we picking them inside of 19.5, we both said, and there's an outside chance they outright win this game. I said, Florida's overrated, outright chance the Gamecocks can win this game. And I got texts from Gamecocks fans going, Rob, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance on Saturday. And they did, and they showed up. If y'all knew it was going to play out that way, Willie B would have been 100% full. I'm not faulting you. That's true of most colleges in the country.
We could have used the Scott Boras mentality. Florida, didn't get beat by South Carolina. They just
beat themselves.
They beat themselves,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. The reality here is you didn't show up because you thought you were going to lose. And that's okay. It's all right. Most fan bases are that way. You guys are in the same category as most fan bases. It happens. But as far as what Hank just asked, can South Carolina sustain that? I don't know, Zoe. Again, I've had rounds of golf where I go out and I shoot a 87, 86. And then, you know what happens to me? I get crazy hyped. Oh, I'm an 86 golfer now. And then I go out the next week
so
and
you're
I
saying
shoot a 98.
You go into diesel mode.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Okay.
Yeah. I got to a point. Diddy just texted me. He said, I will 100% admit that I knew Florida would beat my Gamecocks. So happy to have been wrong. That's what I'm saying. Y'all weren't confident in that game last week. Don't tell me you were. None of y'all were. Beamer pointed it out on Tuesday in his presser. When he said he saw the messages. He said the same ones of y'all that have been sending me high five tweets are the same ones that were stabbing me in the back the week before. Right?
And we'll be back doing that again if they fall flat against Missouri.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's how the game works, right? I'm not mad about that part. But can they sustain the same momentum that they had against Florida? Can they carry that over to Mizzou? I don't know. Let me rephrase that. Can they? Yes. Yes, they can. Will they? Question mark.
All right. You talked about how it wasn't a sellout crowd, but you've also talked about how hyped the crowd that was there was.
Those that were there popped.
Right. So can they do it in an opposing team stadium? Was part of what they did because of that crowd being so loud?
It's a great question. That's a great question. That crowd was hot. It was white hot. One of the most electric crowds I have ever been in front of in a college football stadium. Genuinely. It was incredible. Can they carry that same momentum? Question mark. I'm interested. Because again, this is a first-year head coach. Will he get swept up in that emotion? Will he get swept up in the belief that that's how that's going to go? Or does he go back to last week? Does he look through the practices, look through the game film, look through everything, find the things that worked, find the things that worked well, and get the team back on that train? I don't know. If Shane been there for 4 or 5 years at this point, I think we'd have a little bit better. But we not only do we not have the experience to draw off of for Shane Beamer this year with the Gamecocks, because that's the first game they've looked that way. But this was the gamble you took. These are the dice that you threw. We don't have any knowledge of what Shane Beamer would do as a head coach in this situation because he ain't never been one before.
Well, one of the most dangerous things in sports is for a team to suddenly start believing in themselves. And if they believe, if they look back at that game against Florida and believe, hey, that's who we are, then the rest of the season is going to be a lot of fun.
Let's do this. Jimmy, I see you on the phone line. You hang on. When we come back, Cam Newton's Carolina Panther. Yesterday, Matt Rule told us P.J. Walker would still get the start, but there still are some folks out there that believe that Cam might make the start. He's at practice today, fully dressed. Saw earlier that one of the AP reporters covering the practice said that there was an energy at practice today that had not been there the past couple of weeks. Jimmy's on the phone. We'll talk Panther football with him and you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Also, can you use the phrase packed to the rafters about an outdoor stadium? There's technically no rafters, right?
There's no rafters. You're right. Packed to the sky, maybe?
A rafter is one of a series of sloped structural members, such as wooden beams, that extend from the ridge or hip to the wall plate, downslope perimeter or eave, and that are designed to support roof shingles, roof deck, and associated loads. A pair of rafters is called a couple. In home construction, rafters are normally made out of wood. Exposed rafters are a feature of some traditional roof styles.
So the answer would be no.
No, there's no rafters in an outside stadium. Oof. 0 for 1 on the day. 1 for 2 on the day. Hey, a shot's a shot, buddy. One for 3.
My adjustment was slightly off.
1 for 4.
I was robbed on that one.
One for 5 and getting worse. One for 6. One for 7.
I'll be shy.
1 for 8. Wow.
Did not hit the free throw.
1 for 9, and you hit the door, Lonzo.
That's just sad, isn't it?
1 for 9. 1 for 10, and he's shooting 10% from the floor, folks. 1 for 11 and hit the door again. Are you even aiming, or are you just kind of throwing it as hard as you can in a general direction?
That sounds fun now. I like the play.
There it is. 2 for 11 on the day, folks.
Sorry if you're trying to call, but
those stats are going to take a dive.
It's all right.
The season field goal percentage is terrible.
Bob Brown Show. What do you want to talk about? Yeah, what's your name? All right, hang on. Be careful with, look at me.
Okay. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate talking Panthers football here. Cam Newton announced yesterday, re-signed a contract with the Carolina Panthers, so he is now on board. Let's get Jimmy in here to talk a little Panther football as the energy is a buzz around the signing of Cameron Newton. Jimmy, welcome in, big fella. Good to have you.
Hey, guys. Now, I'm pretty sure it was y'all that I called the show a couple of days ago, and I said, bring back Cam. Am I correct?
You are correct, and I am here to eat my crow. Serve it as cold as you'd like, Jimmy.
You didn't know what was involved in the decision-making for the Panthers, did you?
I had no idea that you were the consigliere. You were the man behind the throne, the whisperer of secrets.
Well, the next problem is now he's got to make good on the second chance with the Panthers. He's got to focus. He's got to be Brady-like and focus and quit being, immature. I guess that's the best word to use for Cam Newton in the past with the Panthers. But he took us to the Super Bowl that year. We should have won it. I mean, Peyton Manning couldn't even throw the ball 20 yards in that Super Bowl. That still sticks in my craw right there.
I'm curious, Jimmy, what does immature mean? Please describe the immature to me.
Well, in practice, he was clowning around instead of focusing on practice and everything, always pulling practical jokes. I'm not really crazy about his attire. I'm not saying how somebody should dress or anything, and then also in his press conferences, he would say some really ridiculous things or just refuse to answer questions. It's just he needs to be more Brady-like. I don't know if you want me to define that, but he just needs to be more focused on the job at hand.
Well, I would say is more immature than Cam ever has been because of the tirades he's thrown on the sidelines, breaking his phone, so many other things. I just don't think Brady's the example. And the other thing is, why do you have to be mature in playing a kid's game and making a lot of money to do it?
Well, something didn't work the last few years there. I know some of it was from where he would run the ball and he would take too much punishment. Some of it was he was not using good fundamentals throwing the ball. He would throw off his back foot. He just wasn't, I just don't think he was focused on his fundamentals and working at the game at hand. And so let's just hope after being let go by New England that he's going to become the Cam Newton of the Super Bowl, which that probably won't happen since he's 32 now. But I'm hoping that he has a great end of the season. And
Jimmy,
then
go ahead, real quick.
Go ahead. One other thing, I want to comment on the Gamecocks. I told Mark Ryan the other day also. I think if the Gamecocks can beat Missouri tomorrow, that I think we have a chance of finishing 8-4. I think we can beat Auburn and Clemson if we can beat Missouri.
Jimmy, appreciate it. Good to have you on the air, buddy. We'll come back to the Gamecocks in a minute, but we got stacked up callers to talk Carolina Panthers. I want to talk more about what Jimmy said about Cam, but I want to get William in here real quick as well. William, welcome in. Good to have you. Thanks for taking the time, bud. Appreciate it.
Great to be back, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hello. And the most under the radar. This is a compliment. This is a compliment. Legend in his own mind, because let that work for you, okay, Rob? Because you are solid, and you can count on no cheerleading from yourself and Lonzo. And that's what's refreshing. You guys didn't stop everything you were doing when they announced that Cam was coming in. You merely remained professional. But is it okay to say a couple sentences about the last caller? I usually won't do that, but I was wondering if he was my teammate at South Carolina when I played for the Gamecocks. Because when you say we, it just starts saying. But moving on, the success of Cam Newton, that I've known him since I have not known him personally since he went to Westlake High School, but back then is where he's come to now. And here's a brash remark. With him as a starting quarterback, assuming he gets the opportunity, and he will, they are not going to have a winning season with him at starting quarterback. And it could be as bad as Miami is the only team that they're going to beat. But please don't hang up on me. How do you feel about that as far as his possible success as starting quarterback?
Well, I mean, look, we talked about it. We appreciate the phone call. We got a bunch of callers stacked up. Do I think he can't have a winning season? No, I think he was doing fine with the Patriots until he got the Rona.
I don't know that they were undefeated, but they might have been.
Yeah,
he looked really good.
Yeah. I think he's got all the physical capabilities, all the physical characteristics. I'm going to talk more coming up later about the take on the immaturity and all that, because I don't necessarily agree. As Lonzo described sports earlier, we're watching guys get paid a lot of money to play a children's game. Leadership is not like one style, right? Because Brady is the GOAT and is a leader. Here's the thing you're going to learn about leadership as you grow up. You know what you have to do before you do anything else in order to be a great leader, Lonzo? You got to be good at whatever it is that you're trying to lead in, right? You got to be good at that. If you're a leader in the community, you better be involved with the community, right? Nobody's going to take leadership about a community lessons from a guy who sits on his couch all day. If you're a quarterback and you're going to be a leader, you better be a good quarterback. Don't be a guy throwing 4 picks a game and expect everybody to line up and listen. If you're going to be a leader as a talk show radio guy, you better have a trophy for best sports talk radio show host in South Carolina. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one of the things, if you recall, when you were getting ready to go over to Panther camp, that I said I was most disappointed for you is you didn't get to see Cam. Because whether he's mature or not, Cam Newton worked that crowd, which is what you want.
He's a showman.
You know what? Going out and having a good time at your job is not a crime. We have a good time every day.
Most of the day.
All right. There are occasions.
Let's see. Texture says ESPN, the running around like a damn airplane on the field is childish, and that's what the caller's talking about, I believe. Look, I don't care.
Wow. These people drive me crazy. This ticks me off. Do you hear what you said? So you
I think what they're saying is you can do that when you're winning. Do that when you're winning, right? It was like I watched a clip last night from the year after Kobe left when the Lakers won. They lost like 9 games in a row. They lost like 9 in a row, and after a 1-point win, the Lakers were like celebrating on the floor and hooping and hollering. And Kobe was on Jimmy Kimmel's show. And Kobe just looked at Jimmy, and Jimmy goes, "Kobe, you trying to tell me y'all wouldn't have acted like that after losing 8 straight games if you were there?" And Kobe just had this blank look of anger on his face. And I think that's what it is, right? Like, don't celebrate when you're 1-9, but if you're 9-1, I don't care if my quarterback is eating ice cream on the sideline. If you're 9-1.
Who do you want? Do you want the maturity that's Sam Darnold, or do you want the fun that's Cam Newton? Now we're going to.
I think the argument is they want the wins before anything else, and I accept that.
You can win boring, and that's fine, but I'd rather win with someone who's fun.
Let's go to hey, would you look who's on the phone line? Our buddy Owen Watterson. Owen, who we've had on the show many times, is the newest employee of ESPN Upstate. It's going to be joining us here and there on the show moving forward. Owen, welcome in, big fella.
Dude, I cannot believe some of these callers I've heard just in my waiting to talk to you. And I got to give Lonzo a big shout out because he's exactly right. I mean, what do you want from this guy, Cam Newton? I want to start by saying how excited I am to have this dude back. I mean, the fans haven't been able to quite honestly shut up about him since he left to begin with. They've been, clamoring about Cam and how he's doing elsewhere. He just brings something else to this team. I mean, Stephon Gilmore said it in his media availability the other day. When you think of the Carolina Panthers nowadays, you think of Cam Newton, period. And to have this guy back is going to be incredible. I want to stay realistic a little bit because he is going to be playing without their starting left tackle, who isn't very good to begin with, and without their starting center. So I'm not too sure what we can expect from him. But I can only imagine it's going to be an upgrade from Sam Darnold. I'm ecstatic, Rob.
I can't think it's not, right? Like, and I'm pulling for Sam Darnold. I have been one guy, Owen, that's said, look, I'm gonna put the bad play of the past on the fact that he was in the quagmire that was the New York Jets with Adam Gase at the helm. And I believe he's got the tools to be a good quarterback, but I don't know that Rule was the guy to get him there. Cam already knows how to win in the league. Question is, can he and Rule coexist in that locker room together?
That is a massive question, Rob, and that's a big part of why Cam left to begin with. I mean, Scott Fitterer and Matt Rule spoke to the media the other day. Cam's speaking to the media as we're talking right now, actually. And, they said that David Tepper lets them run the football operations for the most part. He likes to stay hands off. And I imagine it's been that way since the beginning. And I think the power struggle that would have eventually happened with Matt Rule and a whole new staff and, just trying to come up in this league in general, I think that's what they tried to avoid to begin with. And now we've all seen the Thanos meme. I mean, their failures just led them right back to Cam Newton. So it's going to be a
I love it. Owen Watterson joining us here on the show. You'll be hearing lots more from Owen moving forward. Appreciate it, big dog. Good to have you on the show, man. We'll talk to Owen down the line. Jack, I see you on hold. I will fit you in the next segment, and then we'll head to the third hour of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Harley-Davidson of Greenville wants you to be set up for the fall. I'm looking outside the window here at the beautiful ESPN Upstate Palatial Studios right now, and right outside there's like 2 or 3 trees in the parking lot between us and the building next door, and I'm looking, and one of them, the leaves have turned this dark blood red, and it's absolutely beautiful, and that is everywhere around us right now. Everywhere around us right now, it is some of the best riding in the upstate. And if you're going to ride some of the best riding in the upstate, some of the best riding in the country, you want to ride on the best, don't you? That's Harley-Davidson, and that's why you need to go see our friends at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Not only are they going to set you up on the ride of your dreams, look in your head and see the perfect bike. Is it a big hog? Is it a little cafe cruiser? Is it vibrant and loud, bright greens and yellow? Is it all black and chromed out like mine? That bike that you're seeing in your head right now, Harley-Davidson of Greenville can help you build, make, and buy the bike of your dreams. And after you get it, nobody knows how to work on a Harley better than the folks who are trained to work on a Harley right there at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Go see them at 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, and check out the entire inventory online at upstateharley.com. Upstateharley.com. It's Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Got to run a phone call stalking Cam Newton. Jack is the next in line to talk about Cam and the Panthers. Jack, thanks for hanging on, big dog. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Really well. Thank you very much.
Thanks for keeping me on hold. I needed to calm down.
Bring the fire, Jack. We're not here for low-key takes, buddy.
Oh, dude. I played football at Chapman when the Panthers first started.
Okay.
I've been a Panthers fan since I was like, oh my God, we got a pro team in Carolina, and it's the Panthers. I know these people around here. I grew up around them. I know them all. Some of them have tendencies. And when Cam Newton got drafted, I heard all of them with their dog whistles blowing. They got problems with him because he's got flair. Now, one thing I know about an athlete, if you try to bottle him up, you get garbage. Odell Beckham. You can't do that to people, man. If that guy's got swag, you got to let him do it. That's part of that's what you're getting. And if you try to push that down, you're not going to get the best athletes you got out of that person because you're not getting that person.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. When you got to care, listen, the only way you're going to have a guy like Cam thrive and play his best is when the dude's allowed to go out there and have fun and do his airplane stuff and pull the S on the chest and flip into the end zone. That's how you get it. If a guy is not built to be suit and tie business, don't try to make him. And the opposite's true too, right? Like there's a lot of professional players that are button up the suit and tie and go to business. And you would never go, hey, I need you to go make airplane noises outside, right? Like I need you to run up and down the field and do cartwheels. You wouldn't say that to that guy. If you want this guy to thrive, you got to let him do his thing. But I will also say, to kind of temper that conversation, Jack, all of that's only acceptable if you're winning, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other side of that, and a lot of Panthers fans forget this, man. Cam played through injuries. And he wouldn't tell people about it because it's not a good idea to tell somebody where it hurts because they're going to hit you there. But he did that all the time. And we just discount that. Like, oh, cool, man. Thanks for running around there with.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jack, appreciate the phone call, buddy. We're up against the hard break. We got to take it. When we come back, we'll be joined by John Epps and Kevin Thomas of the Moving the Chains podcast. It's playoff high school football season. We're going to talk to those fellas coming up next about some of the big games around the upstate. We'll have Fanboy Friday. We'll jump back into this conversation. We got Twitter trending topics. Last hour is booked up, y'all. Let's have some fun on the Rob Brown Show. And ESPN Upstate. I'm assuming that's John.
It is.
The last name.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Disney Plus is bringing back the X-Men animated.
Yeah, I know.
Are they making new ones in the style of the old ones, or are they just putting the old ones up?
All right, so where do you want to talk about it? In Fanboy or in Twitter? Because I had it in Twitter. I know what it is, and unless you look it up yourself, I can tell you what it is.
I won't.
Rob Brown Show. Hey, not much. Hang on, Kev. Well, they're both on the line.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Yeah, Disney Plus Day is today, and they've basically did my whole show for me tomorrow. All that and Modpocalypse, and I'm good to go. And of course, we'll also talk about should you go to a restaurant when you have a thing growing on your lip, if it's someone's birthday. Especially because I'm worried that where we're going, the chef will draw attention to it because he thinks it'll be funny. Yeah. What is that on your lip? I mean, there's going to be, and everyone's going to look. No.
No, they will.
Because that's what they do. They look at you and remember we were talking about. They look at what jersey you're wearing or something, and that's how they kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good move, and I get why they do that. Which of course is why I didn't wear any team colors today. Because if he knows this, we're having a conversation.
Your voice.
Yes. Especially if he also has experienced the mob apocalypse.
Let's get it! The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, South Carolina, America, the world. I am Rob, the great one, Lonzo, on the other side of the glass, both metaphorically and literally. Having a big one on the show today. A lot of phone calls there about Cam Newton going to the Pats. Well, the Panthers, excuse me. He went to the Pats last year. Now he's with the Panthers.
We're having such a great show. You're so excited. You're yeah. You're good.
Mind blown. A lot of good calls. Thank you guys all that called in to chat with us. We appreciate it. But as we do every Friday at this time, it's time to talk some prep football, y'all. The playoffs are upon us, and the two young men that we bring on the show now are the best in the biz at covering local high school football. We start by introducing Mr. John Epps, joining us here on the show from the Moving the Chains podcast. Johnny boy, how we feeling, fella?
Rob, feeling great. Glad to be here.
Love it, man. Good to have you. And, of course, his compatriot, his comrade in arms, my golfing buddy occasionally. I'm not that good, so he doesn't make fun of me too much. Mr. Kevin Thomas joining us here from the Moving the Chains podcast. Kmart, what up, big dog?
Rob, what's going on, buddy, man? We got to get on the course again soon for sure.
Yeah, this whole football thing gets in the way of my golfing time. You know what I mean?
I hear that.
All right, boys, let's get into it. Let's start with taking a quick look back at what happened last weekend. We had a handful of really good games. We had a handful of games that got out of hand real quick, like overtime game for TL Hanna and Dorman. Late 2-point conversion to tie that game up. Looks like that one was one of the better games we've had in a while around here.
Yeah, TL Hanna had to score late. It was really a back-and-forth game. They scored late, got the 2, went into overtime, scored first, held Dorman. Yellow Jackets move on in what may have been the game of the week in the state last week.
John, I want you to give me Burns in Malden. 2 touchdowns in the second half, 3 overall, as Malden gets by Burns, falls to Burns 30-20. That sets up a big matchup from Burns we're going to talk about later on. But give me a rundown of that Burns game from last Friday.
Yeah, this is a game really looking forward to last week. Unfortunately for the Malden Mavericks, their standouts on defense, the whole team, Lucas and Caldwell, were actually out of the game. Gabe Rogers, quarterback for Burns, was able to take advantage of that and capitalize. Wanted to see Burns play a little bit better in that game, but you know what? It's the playoffs. You win, you advance, you worry about the next game for the next week.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Win and move on. Powdersville v. Broome, Kmart, 45-44. The Patriots score with less than a minute less to play on a busted play. Man, that one looks like it was a barn burner.
A wild game. This is the rematch of a week 0 matchup. Powdersville was down late. Eli Hudgens, the quarterback, goes to hand it off. The running back goes the wrong way. He ends up basically running a naked bootleg into the end zone. 55 seconds left to score. Broome comes back down, scores 29 seconds left, goes for 2. We have a penalty. They go for 2 again and get stuffed. Powdersville wins by a point and stays unbeaten on the season.
Love it. Love it. Looking down the line, a recap from week 1 of the playoffs. Westside 24, Greer 21. But John Epps, as every football coach will tell you, win the football, win the game.
That's right. Really impressed with Greer in the second part of the season. They really started to put it together. and they made this a great game against a really, really good West Side team. Now, I will say, I think unfortunately for West Side, they've got to host a very, very good Irmo Yellow Jackets team from the Midlands. West Side's got to play a great game tonight to win that one, but a good win over a improving Greer team last Friday.
And, of course, Hillcrest, Spartanburg, Gaffney, Greenville, Chapman, Woodruff, Daniel, St. Joe's, Christchurch, Southside Christian all move on, and that sets up round number 2. And I'll tell you guys out there listening, usually when Kevin sends me our notes for the day, there's like 2 or 3 games of the week in the regular season. These boys hit me with like 10 games of the week because it's playoff time, baby. Kevin, let's talk to the folks at Greenville at AC Flora. Greenville, a 55-22 beatdown of Walhalla last weekend. And you said that this one kind of almost feels like a championship game in its own right. Talk to me.
These are 2 absolute heavyweights. Both these teams spent time at number 1 in the polls throughout the season. A huge matchup for round 2 of the game that we're actually going to be at. We talk about it every time in Greenville. They've got as much talent as anybody in the state. Can they stay disciplined? Can they play within themselves and make things happen like that? AC Flora, defending state champion, really good run game with Markel Townsend. Defense allowing about 10 points per game. I think this Greenville team is hungry. You know, they got they missed the playoffs last year due to the kind of the COVID-shortened playoffs that, you know, they tied for first. They're hungry. They're fired up. I think Greenville goes on the road and upsets the defending 4A state champions tonight.
John, we're also keeping an eye on TL Henna at Gaffney. Now, TL beat Gaffney in last year's playoffs, but that's a more talented team this year. It's a different team this year. You guys have marked down that this one might come down to who can jump out to a lead first, John Epps.
Yeah, I think, you know, the Gaffney Indians have been really the class of upper state football, especially in 5A. And bad news for TL Hanna. Gaffney remembers who knocked them out of the playoffs last year. It was the Yellow Jackets. I think Gaffney is going to be really raring to go. Reservation should be rocking tonight. I think Gaffney is going to take control of this one early and cruise in this one, actually.
Gaffney at home against TL Hanna. Kevin, you got any issues with that projection?
No, I think he's exactly right. Gaffney's more talented, deeper. If they just play smart football, don't turn it over and get out to an early lead, they may win by 2 or 3 scores over TL Hanna, honestly.
Spring Valley is at Spartanburg, and there have been some numbers out of these teams so far this season. And Kevin, it looks like we might have an offensive explosion on our hands in this one.
We might. Spring Valley had a great performance last week. The quarterback, DQ Smith, had 4 rushing touchdowns. He's a great athlete, getting looks at some D1 schools like South Carolina for positions other than quarterback, obviously. But they can really put up points. They run kind of an option, triple option attack, but they also throw it out of the shotgun. So very multiple there. Spartanburg, they've been really improving since early in the season. They got that quarterback, Raheem Jeter, back. He's been throwing all over the yard. He did come out early last week. Kind of a precautionary deal there. I think he's back and ready to go tonight. If he is, I like Spartanburg to win this game. But this one could be very, very tight over there in Spartanburg County.
All right, John Epps, Clinton's at Lower Richland, and I know they've had some issue with the quarterback, I guess, with injuries in the past. Talk to me. These are 2 teams, I'll be honest, I have not heard you guys mention a lot over the past few weeks. What's this game look like?
I tell you what, Clinton has been really good all year. The only blemish on their season was a nail biter for the region championship against Chapman. I know a lot of your listeners are familiar with that Chapman Panther program. Clinton took them to a wire. They are very, very good. Now, Lower Richmond, on the other hand, they are typically a basketball school. Now, football, they are got it going this year. They are very, very big. And what's going to be fun to watch in this one is Clinton runs a similar offense to Coastal Carolina. They run that kind of shotgun option, run pass option look. Lower Richmond, they are very big up front, and they like to stop the run. So this is going to be a really good matchup against 2 really, really good teams. This one's going to be a lot of fun.
I am interested, Kmart, obviously, in Burns football. They will be tonight switching over to WORD. We've got Furman on the road at Louisville tonight in college hoops. So we'll be moving Burns football on over to WORD for the evening. They're on the road. They're at Northwestern. Biggest challenge they got tonight is going to be Will Madison, a Mr. Football South Carolina finalist. And you've mentioned there might be an injury that concerns Burns. Break that one down for me, Kevin.
Yeah, Northwestern is probably the second best team in 5A in Upper State behind Gaffney. Some people will say they're better than Gaffney. We'll see about that here in a couple weeks probably. But Will Madison, the quarterback for Northwestern, is the real deal. Picked up his first offer a couple days ago, I saw, but he can throw, he can run, he's smart with the football, got great touch. And they've got some guys that get after it. They've got a pretty good running back. They got 3 or 4 receivers that can make some plays out there. On the defensive side, the defensive line plays really hard, really gets after the quarterback there. And Burns, like I mentioned there, we think that their star player, the Dingle kid, may be out. We don't know for sure yet. And if he is on the defensive side, they're going to have a tough time stopping the Trojans there. But, Gabe Rogers, if he plays a great game, goes off with the Cook kids, making some big plays there, they're able to have a chance. But I think Northwestern at home is going to be too much tonight.
Give me a breakdown on Burns, John Epps.
I tell you what, I think it's going to be interesting to watch. Exactly what Kevin said. Will Madison, probably the most talented player on the football field, up for South Carolina Mr. Football this year. But in my opinion, and I think a lot of Burns fans will agree with me, I feel like Gabe Rogers might have gotten snubbed a little bit here. He has had an absolutely incredible season playing quarterback. Saw him in person against Dutch Fork. He was brilliant. I think Rogers is going to give it all he's got tonight. I think this is going to be a much closer game than Northwestern's willing to battle against. But I think the Trojans do come out on top in a really, really close, exciting quarterback battle.
All right, we got Burns at Northwestern. You'll hear that game tonight on our sister station, WORD. Make sure you're tuned in for that. I'm going to let both of you guys, I'll start with you, John. Give me 1 or 2 other games that you think upstate folks should keep an eye on for this week.
I think a really fun one is going to be Lawrence going over to Rock Hill playing South Point. South Point is one of the favorites in 4A, but Lawrence has quietly put together an awesome season, and the only time they've gotten beat is when they've played some really, really good teams, really, really close. I think that's going to be a big-time upset potential game right there with Lawrence and South Point.
Kevin, give me one more that you think is going to potentially be a big one for the weekend.
I'm going to go Powdersville Wren. Basically neighbors right down the street from each other. Powdersville beat Wren by 1 point, 10-9 earlier in the year. This will be I think a much more high-scoring game than that one. There's a lot of talent. Wren's as healthy as they've been all season long. We know what Powdersville has with Rambert and Williams and Hudson, those guys. That could be a really good ball game over there in Anderson County tonight.
Love it. I love it. Kevin Thomas, John Epps, they both host the Movin' the Chains podcast. You can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/movingchains, Twitter and Instagram at Movin' Chains. Podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever your podcasts are found. Fellas, tell the folks what you guys going on. I saw you had another interview earlier this week. It's playoff season. I know there's a lot going on with the Movin' the Chains podcast. Tell the folks out there what you got going on.
Yeah, we've got weekly preview shows coming out on Tuesdays. We do them live on Facebook and also on the podcast versions like Apple, Google, Spotify. So a lot of good stuff each week for you guys there. We do a recap show on Sundays, same type of deal there. And then we've got some interviews coming. We got one coming up next week. I don't want to jinx it, but let's say he's one of the most, criticized coaches and controversial coaches at one of the biggest schools in the state coming up next week. So definitely tune in for that. They should still be in the playoffs. So that'll be a lot of fun for you guys to check out next week.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Kevin Thomas, John Epps. John, dude, great to talk to you, buddy. Appreciate you having it on as always. We'll talk to you next week, pal.
Brother Rob, have a good one.
You got it. Kmart, always appreciated. You're the man, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, I appreciate you, Rob.
Always. That's Kevin Thomas. That's John Epps from the Movin' the Chains podcast. Again, find them on Facebook at facebook.com/movin', no G, Movin' Chains. Same on Twitter and Instagram, and their podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever your podcasts are found. Let's take a break. When we come back, Lonzo and I bring the nerd to you with Fanboy Friday, the segment where all our goofy off-the-air stuff goes on the air. Then we'll take a look at the 2 big soccer games going on this weekend and wrap it all up with Twitter trending topics on the way out the door. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
No, you can't go because I'm going. I mean, you can go.
I'm going to go.
Just let you know.
Lonzo is now 3 for 14. I'm updating the stream.
Forgot to envision a person when I'm throwing the equivalent of a dart. And once I did that, I was right in there.
All right. So could he put that kinetic energy into, say, a trying to think of an animal I would use here, into like a fly, right? And then send it into a room with a bunch of people who one of them would try to kill the fly. Is the size of the object, like, is there a critical mass of kinetic energy that he can put into an object? Like a playing card can hold X, but if he did like a football, it could hold 6 times as much?
I don't know. It's pure light kinetic energy.
White? I thought it was purple.
Light.
Oh, light.
Light. I apologize for not enunciating. Charging that item with highly explosive results. Prefers to charge smaller objects such as his ever-present playing cards, as the time required to charge them is greatly reduced. So it takes him longer to charge a larger object.
Okay.
His only real limitation is the time it takes to charge an object.
Of course, I'm a Gambit fan because of where he's from.
Most charging takes place through direct skin contact.
Right, he's got to touch it to charge it.
The
right?
power of his explosion is dependent on the mass of the object.
Okay, so he can
charging.
put more energy into bigger items. He uses the small items because he can do it faster and get them out quicker. That makes sense.
He can charge his bow staff with enough kinetic energy and power to level a house.
That makes sense. It's got more mass to it. When you hear the lightsabers clashing, you know it's time for Fanboy Friday, where Lonzo and I take all the nerdy stuff that we don't talk about on the air, and we talk about it in the office, and then we do talk about it on the air. Big day for kids my age who were big into the animated Saturday morning X-Men cartoons and those kind of things, because a handful of them are coming to Disney Plus starting this weekend. So is a lot of the Marvel movies, but they're actually going to be put up in IMAX format. So if you got a real big TV, you're going to get the IMAX cut of some of these Marvel films we've been watching over the past 15
Which works
years.
out real well for one of us who hasn't seen, one of those movies in particular.
Shang-Chi coming out this weekend.
It's out now, I believe.
Well,
yeah, today.
Yeah, it came out
You
today.
just can't watch it
I'll
till
watch
this weekend.
Yeah, I can't watch it till Sunday.
Allegedly.
No, that's definite. I leave here tonight. I have got a small Friendsgiving gathering this evening that's been on the books. Tomorrow night, there's both a Triumph and a Swamp Rabbits game, and I've got work stuff to do during the day. Sunday, I could watch it early Sunday morning, but nobody wants to watch a movie at 10 a.m.
It will get you very hyped for what you've got to look forward to the rest of the day, including your appearance at Wings, etc.
So I've got the remote at Wings, etc. It starts at 2, but the Saints start at 1. So I got to be there at like 12:30 to get my seat set up, watch the Saints from 12 to 2, do the Panthers remote from 2 to 3, then watch the end of the Saints game and get set up to watch the Panthers game afterwards. That's going to be a full day. But when I get home, Sunday night will be Shang-Chi, and they are putting and here's what I did not know. And Lonzo, you know this, and I said we were going to save it for Twitter, but now I have to know. I can't not. the X-Men 97 animated series, which was a huge animated series for kids in my era. Like that was when the X-Men really got cool. That cartoon that they had on was must-see television for kids my age. One of the dopest theme songs of all time. Are they putting up the original series, or are they making a new one in the style of that series?
They're making a series set in that setting.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So they're not necessarily saying it's
Disney Plus.
a continuation. And again, all these things are dropping while we're on the air, so I haven't been able to be as thorough as I would like. But
Right.
I will be after the show.
Big weekend for Disney Plus. I'm excited to see where this goes. On top of that,
Yeah, there's so many things that have just dropped.
yeah,
So
it's like a laundry list, man. They're calling it what? Disney Plus weekend.
it's Disney Plus Day today.
Gotcha.
Like
What else is coming out that might catch my opinion or might catch my
it's going
interest?
to take all of Twitter, but that's fine. I'll find other stuff. They've also dropped the Moon Knight teaser.
Dope. Really like Moon Knight. Moon Knight is attitude wise, he's Marvel's Batman to some degree, right? Like he's just kind of a gruff dude that does not mind getting violent.
They've dropped a trailer, or it's a trailer that has all these things in it. Samuel L. Jackson in Secret Invasion is on there, and he's got a long beard.
Doing a Secret Invasion line.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's been-
obviously the Kree and the Skrull have been mentioned multiple times throughout the MCU.
It's a series. It's a Disney series,
I'm
just
here
like
for it.
yeah, just like
So I gotta tell you, the Disney Marvel series have been aces so far. Has there been a bad Marvel series on Disney Plus yet? I mean, some have been better than others, but none of them have been anything less than good.
agreed, and they all have had their moments where you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also they're showing some Kenobi behind the scenes. We also are getting some She-Hulk, including there's a picture, spoiler, but the picture's out there. You're going to see it of Smart Hulk. There was She-Hulk. So
Nice.
I mean, to help transition, you got to bring him in. You got to bring,
Yeah.
and it looks like Ruffalo, and I'm pretty sure it is Ruffalo.
Yeah. So She-Hulk's kind of interesting in that, the premise behind the Hulk is that he goes back and forth from Banner to Hulk, but it's based on emotion with him, right? Like the rage and the anger, to the point that you're always wondering, is he going to lose control and the Hulk is going to take over? She-Hulk doesn't have that, right? Like She-Hulk is always intelligent, always in control of emotions. She's just crazy strong. I wonder what they do to make that character interesting in a way that is going to.
Well, if I recall, she's a lawyer.
She is a lawyer. That is
So,
correct.
so if it's basically, if the series is
What are they-
about
on are they going to focus on that aspect of it, or are they going to focus, is it going to be like Boston Legal but William Shatner's Green, you know what I mean? Or is it going to be a combat series, or is it going to be a little bit of both? I'm intrigued. What else is dropping that I might have interest in?
I'm just going through Facebook now with all the stuff that I Am Groot series spinoff. It looks like Little Groot, or it might be
Yeah,
Teenage
but
Groot.
like, is he with Rocket?
I don't know. It's just a logo right now. So I mean,
Okay.
a lot of these things are dropping logos, but they're also dropping. There's going to be a new Ice Age, which if you're into that, I saw the first couple. The kids were really into
That
it.
was a better series than a better series of movies than ever got credit for, I think.
New look at Hocus Pocus 2. Amok. Let's see.
And for that, like Hocus Pocus is in the staple of Halloween rotations for most people my age. It's like Hocus Pocus. And by the way, what's her name? Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes.
Absolute smoke show in that movie.
Completely agree. They're also a little first look at Miss Marvel.
Wait. No, and I want to talk Miss Marvel too. I'm in for it. What if season 2 looks like it's a go-to?
Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. They have dropped so many things.
I decided to cheat and scroll through it. What if season 2? What? By the way, I finished it. I'll tell you that. I finally finished What If. Solid, real solid for what it was. I liked it. It was an interesting end. There's some questions. There's some problems I have. For instance, one thing that I actually think broke MCU canon, and this is separate from the universe, but they are going to, I think, play off of it eventually. they established in the MCU in Loki that the Infinity Stones of each universe in the multiverse don't work outside of their universe, right? Like they established that. But then in this one, Ultron is jumping universes via the Infinity Stones. Like that's not supposed to work according to the own rules you establish. So this is one of those times where I have to tell my non-comic book friends who then got into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're playing by comic book rules here, which is it's an entirely different.
Unless Ultron, being the ultimate artificial intelligence, found a way around it.
Yeah, but they said there's not a way around it. That's the point.
Yeah. How many times in comics or in movies or do they say that there's not a way around it?
That She-Hulk makes it look like it's going to be a legal series with a green lawyer. All right. I'm still in.
I hope there's got to be some action.
Ms. Marvel will be interesting. A lot of people finally got their tune into Ms. Marvel in the Avengers video game,
which wasn't bad. I think
not at all. I thought it was good.
It was a good introduction to her, and if she's anything like what is in the video game, I think it would be fairly entertaining. Yeah,
and it's one of those spots that I know some of you guys don't like this conversation. That's okay, but you're adding to the representation inside of the MCU, right? You've got a young woman of Middle Eastern heritage now in this group.
As long as you don't make that the entire focal point of the series, because in the end, she's a superhero and she's
to be a badass.
She's a young girl and she's a fanboy, which makes she's a fanboy who becomes a hero.
I think that's why Robin
Fangirl
themselves in Ms. Marvel, right? Because we do the same thing. Spider-Man freshman year is coming. Is that now animated? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do an I Am Groot series. Is it I Am Groot?
I would guess, and this is to guess that you gear it more towards children.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Ironheart, super excited about Ironheart.
We'll see. We'll see. The potential is there. We know what they can do with the suits and everything. What do they do with the story? If they follow the story fairly well from what happened in the comic books, I'm definitely interested.
Well, would it be interesting? If I recall correctly, Ironheart had some interactions with Tony Stark.
Yes.
But in this universe, Tony Stark's dead. So are we gonna go back to kind of retcon some interactions? And would RDJ show up for that in this series? Because he's got like one or two more projects as Iron Man.
That, by the way, is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for some flashbacks of that.
Can I tell you what I'm really excited about?
Of course, they could CGI it. They already know. Yes.
Agatha House of Harkness. How good was I Am Agatha?
But
it was Agatha all along.
How serious is it going to be? Do you continue to use the humor that she used in the entire thing?
The actress that played Agatha Harkness is
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn, who was in one of my favorite shows of all time, which is Parks and Recreation, right? Catherine Hahn in Parks and Recreation played a character named Jennifer Barkley, who was a political advisor, I guess, to Leslie Knope's character in that arc. And her whole premise was she's like very good at her job and very serious, but also hysterical. She was Agatha in that universe, basically without the witchcraft. She's really funny, like genuinely funny. So I hope that they do. But aside from that, Secret Invasion storyline, I'm here for it. Talk about a great the Secret Invasion comic book series was one of the few that in the last 10 years I was like going out of my way to find this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. We do have a request on the stream.
Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate.
In this segment, which fits, that we talk about a movie that you hadn't seen, but we discussed, I think it was Monday, but you didn't talk about the cutscene.
Yeah, I was saving it for here.
And I think that Steven's going to be very disappointed. So
I don't think you'd be disappointed. So here was my take on Venom 2 that I finally saw through 3 weeks after it came out, 4 weeks after it came out, 5 weeks after, who knows?
Or so.
Anyway, finally saw Venom 2. And the takeaway for me was for a movie, it's what I expected, right? It was not a great movie. I actually had some issues with it.
It was good. If you're looking for something to go see, you're not going to come out and go, man, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. It's a popcorn flick, right? A lot of the MCU stuff were movies that you go out of your way to see because they're good movies. This was a good popcorn flick. It was effectively a monster movie. Pros, I thought side comedy Venom was great. I thought Venom inside of Tom Hardy's head, inside of Eddie Brock's head, had some hilarious moments. I thought he had a couple that were a little forced. But like him slapping Dr. Dan and then saying, "Not sorry," was a great moment, right? I didn't like this iteration of Venom. I didn't. I thought he started great. The escape from the prison scene was great. But the whole premise of Venom was that he was in a symbiotic situation with Cletus Cassidy. And it was Cletus's insanity that drove Carnage to be this. And the whole hook of the plot line was that Cassidy and Venom did not coexist. Or excuse me, Cassidy and Carnage did not coexist, which to me makes Carnage less scary, right? Like the whole premise was the homicidal psychopathic tendencies of Cletus Cassidy with Venom's powers made him that much more terrifying. Venom's got Eddie. The whole hook of the first half of the movie was Eddie trying to keep Venom calmed down and not becoming what Carnage is supposed to be, right? That was the whole hook of the movie. And you took away the thing that made Carnage as terrifying as Carnage was as a character. Carnage was so bad that Spider-Man and Venom had to become friends to stop him. And even then, they almost lost, right? So that kind of took away from it. But the highlight of the movie, obviously, was the post-credit where Venom tells Eddie Brock he's going to show him some of the tens of thousands of years of existence and knowledge of the universe he has. They end up, what Lonzo believes, and I think he's right, effectively being caught up in, at the same moment elsewhere, Doctor Strange spell that's going to create Spider-Man No Way Home.
Or fix things.
And Venom takes over Eddie, because remember, throughout the movie, Eddie and Venom kind of agree on when Venom's going to take over. Venom takes over Eddie, sees Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man on the screen, says, "This guy," and licks the screen, which in the comic books, licking was always Venom's preempt to eating someone. Says "this guy," and then it cuts away.
And we also know that Morbius mentions Venom in his trailer.
And
so
a lot of the theory is the big shadow that you see in the Morbius trailer is probably Venom.
Well, the big
either him or Sandman.
Well, no, you're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Sinister Six, if you look, some of the Sinister Six have been named and we already know, but there's this big shadow creature in the background. And after seeing that cutscene, go back and watch the trailer again. It's Venom.
Yeah, and Morbius does say, this guy says, "Who are you?" And Morbius says, "I am Venom." And then goes, "I'm just kidding."
But here's the thing.
Which was a good line.
Movie directors nowadays have started putting things in trailers that don't exist in the movie to throw people off. So just keep that in mind.
Yep.
So if you really think something's going to be there and then it's not, and you were fooled by the trailer, they're doing that on purpose.
True story. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, we are going to break down a couple of huge soccer matches this weekend. Tonight, Team USA takes on Mexico, El Tri, and what may be a pivotal World Cup qualifying game. And then tomorrow night, your Greenville Triumph hosts the Chattanooga Red Wolves in the USL League One Championship semifinals. We'll break those games down next. And then Twitter wraps us up on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
I haven't heard it, but I love what I'm seeing reported that when Cam ended his press conference today, he said, "Now I'm going to say something I've been wanting to say for a long time. Keep pounding." And then he got up and walked out.
I love it.
Yes.
Love it. I'm here for it.
And he just looks right in Carolina blue. He just does.
Yeah, I was talking with my buddy Joe a few days ago after Mark Ingram came back to New Orleans, right? And he's like, "Dude, Mark just looks right in Saints gear, right? He just there are a few players that just look right in certain gear because of what they mean to that gear. And Cam in Panthers gear is absolutely one of those guys."
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract. They control you with TrackPhone Wireless.
There you go, Steven. We discussed it.
Steven probably had to leave the room at that time.
Yeah, right.
Didn't hear it, but you can go back and watch it. So obviously, I'm going to go back and get all the details about everything, watch all those trailers and everything, and talk about it tomorrow.
So BC introduces new BC Max Strength. New BC Max relieves tough headaches and body pain at the speed of powder. Nothing stronger on pain without a
Definitely want to expand a great deal on Secret Wars and who we think is going to show up. Are there going to be any major MCU characters that show up?
So if I'm remembering correctly, it was the Secret Invasion storyline that led to the death of Steve Rogers, right?
Yeah.
So what are we doing with that? Do they replace him and kill off somebody else?
They kill Sam.
Yeah, they could. You can't kill him off right after he finally got the mantle, right? I guess you
Apparently, what I'm seeing, Captain America 4, he's really going to have to earn the title.
I saw that. What did the director say? It's a Rocky story.
He won over some people at the end of the series, but that's not necessarily the entire country.
Yeah.
Or the world, depending on how you look at it.
And you got to imagine there's still a lot of people from that, from the, what was it, map crushers, flag crushers,
Flag Smashers. Was it Flag Smashers? I think.
That aren't going to just stop hating everything that happened.
We're here.
Two big soccer matches coming up. One tonight as Mexico El Tri will visit the United States. The Yanks playing the home team in Cincinnati, if I believe, in this one. And look, it's a big game. We don't know what the health of Christian Pulisic is going to be. He's the best player on that team, and they desperately need him to be available for this. And, of course, Jamaica coming up in a couple of days. Two pivotal games for the Americans. 6 points, I think, in this. I've heard some soccer fans say, hey, you want 4 points out of this window. I think you need 6 in this one. I think you need 6 from these two games. I think you got to plan on an outright win in both of these. I don't think you can play safe. I think you got to go out there and you got to go out there and you've got to take these 6 points, right? Like you don't have an option. If you leave any breathing room for Canada to jump you and it drops you to third, you're going to have some of the other teams that are 4, 5, 6 and trying to make sure they're in those qualifying positions out for blood. If you go out there and thoroughly beat Mexico and Jamaica and, fingers crossed, you get lucky and you jump up to at least a tie for first place, if not get a little help and jump all the way into first place, those teams will start focusing their energy elsewhere on Canada, on Haiti, on these other teams where they go, okay, we can pick up 3 points and play for draws against the Americans, right? Keep the Americans from getting threes and go get our threes against better team or against lesser teams. It's a mentality thing here, man. It's a mentality thing. You know what we always talk about? We've said this about the Triumph many times. When you're wearing the crown, everybody gives you their best shot because everybody wants to knock off the king, and that's fine. But the Americans ain't the king of World Cup qualifying in CONCACAF, right? Even if they were, let's say they beat Mexico and get 3, they beat Jamaica, get 3, get a full 6. Maybe Mexico, takes no points tonight against the Americans and gets 3 in their second matchup. You vault over them to first in the table. It's just mentality about who's chasing you down. Second thing is you got to do whatever it takes to get Ricardo Pepi hot again, right? Finding a striker has been the most important thing for the Americans. They have not done it until Ricardo Pepi, who got very hot, but then ended this MLS season on a colder, right? On a cold streak. He just kind of disappeared from the scoring sheets for a little while. You got to find a way to get him going tonight. You got to do whatever it takes to figure out what his tendencies are. Now, one of the things I love about Ricardo Pepi is he does something at the forward position that I have not seen other American strikers do, in recent years. The Americans in recent years have effectively played their role right. They go to the spot on the field they're supposed to be at for certain plays. As my old basketball coach, Mark Tiza, used to tell me back in high school, games aren't played by robots that are programmed. Games are played by human beings who read what's happening and make split-second decisions to get themselves into better spots. Tiza used to tell us, look, if I got a situation set up on a pick and roll and you realize that your defender is jumping the screen early and you're supposed to go left around the pick and he's jumping the screen early, then go right. You're not a robot. Go right if that's the better chance to make something happen. Pepe's that way. I think Ricardo Pepe is a cat who looks into the end of the box when the Americans have advantage, and he doesn't go to the spot he's supposed to be at. He goes to the spot that he's got a best chance to finish. You got to take advantage of that tonight. Americans need a full 3 tonight. Then, of course, Greenville at Chattanooga tomorrow. Look, this one's all about fitness. It's a good Chattanooga team, but I genuinely think, and as I mentioned every day, I try not to let my biases take over when I talk sports regarding teams I'm a fan of. I think the Greenville Triumph have a better roster than Chattanooga. I think they've got more experience. I think they've got more knowledge. I think they got better coaching. I think they got a deeper roster. But Chattanooga took all that, came into the house, and walked out with a 1-1 draw against Greenville the last time that they visited. I think there's two things you got to think about here. The fitness of the Triumph, are they back to full shape? A lot of guys have suffered multiple injuries throughout the season. A lot of guys were still getting fit back into top shape as they approach the end of the regular season schedule. You got to make sure that the guys that are out there are the best 11. You got to make sure that the right subs are made at the right time. And I trust John Harkes to do that. But this is playoff time. Everything changes. All right, last text. Let's text. Texter says, ESPN, thoughts on South Carolina at Missouri? Lonzo and Rob, W or a loss?
I do not put my biases aside. and I'm not going to pretend to. I'm going with the Gamecocks. I think they found something last week, and I believe once you get that taste of winning like that in your veins, in all of your being, you're going to do your best to see it again. And let's face it, South Carolina, everyone kind of had them pinned as this being one of their wins anyway. So this is a game they're supposed to win. I'm going with the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I'm rolling with South Carolina here too, right? I got to think that what they did last week against Florida, I be clear, I don't think they're going to go beat Mizzou 40-13 or 40-17. I don't think you're going to see another beatdown.
I'd be okay with that, but
I'd be
thrilled
thrilled about it. But I'm not expecting a 40-13 win. I'm thinking like 27-17, 27-21.
You're right. In the end, Missouri's not Florida, so they're probably going to have a hard time putting that much on them.
Mizzou's at home, right? The big advantage South Carolina had last week, and we talked about this earlier, is Willie B was electric boogie woogie woogie, right? Willie B was hopping that night. And the players feed off that. I think this is an emotional Gamecock team. I think it's a team that recognized that the first half of their season went really poorly. I don't know if it went above or below expectations of the majority of the fan base, but they weren't happy with it. And you could hear that in their voices.
It really comes down to quarterback play.
Yeah.
It really does. And, it's that way with a lot of teams and a lot of levels of football. But for the Gamecocks, it's about the quarterback.
Yeah. Now,
I know the defense is playing better. I know everyone else is playing better, but maybe they found the quarterback that should have been starting at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, look, Jason Brown came in, redshirt senior transfer guy, first-year guy in this program. And I understand why you went with Zeb Nolan. Mark Ryan had a great point, which is the dude's a coach. He's going to know the game better than any player out there. He's a coach who puts on a helmet now. I got why they went to Zeb Nolan, and I got why they went to Luke Doty as the next guy. I understand it. But that kid, Jason Brown, put an electricity into that offense that they had not had before last week. He got the nod, friend of the show, Mutual Twitter follower Jason Brown getting the start. Give me the Gamecocks. Plus, he gets the old Rob Brown Show rub on this one, man. You know, little extra luck coming in. I like the Gamecocks on the road. This is a game where they get to learn to harness the emotion they had last week. But now you got to do it against the crowd. And by the way, don't sleep on Mizzou. Remember, this is a game that Mizzou is looking at from almost the same perspective as South Carolina. Our season is dictated by this game.
This is a game that Beamer wants to win more than any other game, at least presently, because the Gamecocks become bowl eligible. Yeah. And that's a big deal for this coaching staff. It has to be. Because why? That's a step up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we wrap it all up the whole week with Twitter trending topics on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
That's something we put in the trash can.
Meteorologist Jennifer Buczynski on ESPN Upstate. 165.
It's the NFL on Sports USA, and we're at historic Lambeau Field as the Green Bay Packers host the Seattle Seahawks. Rodgers and the Packers know how to get the job done with Jones, Cobb, and Devontae Adams.
Into the end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay.
The Hawks can fly downfield thanks to wideouts Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. It's back west versus Midwest. The Seahawks and the Packers.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spider 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff reels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in store or at Lowe's.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, Calendar 10/28 through 11/24.
Spectrum Business is proud to support small businesses with the best internet and phone services at the best value. But we want to do more. So now, for a limited time, get 1 month of services for free. That's right, 1 month on us. Get 200 megabit per second internet and business phone, and even TV, all free for 1 month. Plus free installation. Call 855-757-4544 or visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at Priority.
You know what happens next week, right? Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Courtney's in to watch that one, so I hopefully won't have to wait 5 weeks for that.
Well, since we're not bowling, that means I can hit it on Thursday night.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. With 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with lots of sound effects. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here are some zany sounds. Saving on home insurance is no laughing matter. Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. The money you save could change your life. It's time for you to take your insurance choice seriously. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's weird. There was a Liberty Mutual commercial on the radio and on the TV at the same time.
He got very excited about the word Amazon there, didn't he?
Maybe he gets paid more if he's, excited.
is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Would you feel
Liberty
uncomfortable ordering hottie sauce?
No, I got no shame, bro.
Hey, can I have some extra hottie sauce?
Let me get some hottie sauce.
What are the expectations of hottie sauce? Do you expect it to be hot or,
I'm assuming it's like a sweet and sour.
Because that's what I'm thinking.
Well, maybe a
sweet and
little
spicy,
extra pepper in it.
A little bit of kick to it.
But I think it's going to be sweet and sour.
It is time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending, and he tells us what he knows about it. Now, he took a bunch of mine from earlier, but you know what? I scoured. I did. I scoured, and I found some more stuff. There's one that I really like, and Brock Lesnar is trending.
Who?
Brock.
No. Who?
I will cough. I'm not doing it.
Brock Lesnar.
You got to shake when you know.
No idea why he's trending. I'm assuming he's going to show up tonight, or fans think he's going to show up tonight.
Well, one of the reasons why he's trending is because he has said he's buying tickets for tonight's show, and he's going to be in. It's that whole thing. Yeah, tonight. But the other reason why he's trending is because of Beth Phoenix, and I don't know if you saw this, but Beth Phoenix has put out there that she pushed an angle where she was Brock Lesnar's sister. I kind of like it. I kind of like the angle.
I don't hate it, to be honest with you. I don't hate it. That could have been a pretty dynamic duo.
Yeah, it could have. And there's a lot of and everything up online right now, and I just like.
She said, fun fact, at one of my first gigs as a WWE extra, I pitched a detailed storyline at Michael Hayes to be brought in as Brock Lesnar's sister. I had zero chill. Beth, the Glamazon, was the lady Brock Lesnar for a while. That could have worked.
Yeah, so this was pre her becoming the Glamazon. So it's not like she went from
Brock was pre-tattoo chest Brock.
I think it would have worked. I wish we could have seen that. All right, the next thing that's trending, sticking with wrestling, is Jim Cornette.
Oh, who did Cornette insult or tick off today?
Well, that depends on how.
Right.
Jim Eddie Kingston's following to Stone Cold Steve Austin's following. So again, are you offended or do you see it?
No, I like Kingston. I'm not offended by it at all. And I get it, right? I get it. I think that he doesn't not have a point. I think Kingston attracts the kind of wrestling fan that is kind of anti-traditional wrestling, right? Like they're kind of, I like wrestling, but like not the traditionalist way of doing it, which is what Stone Cold was when he really started his rise to being an anti-hero.
Who's a better wrestler?
Who's a better wrestler?
Yeah.
Like we're talking only in ring?
Yeah.
Probably Stone Cold in his prime, not black leg knee braces Stone Cold, but Stone Cold in his prime was.
I agree.
But it doesn't take away from how good Eddie Kingston is.
And the last thing that's trending is Cam Newton.
Hashtag keep pounding. That's how he ended his presser today. He said, I've wanted to say this a long time. Keep pounding. Then he got up and walked out. We'll see how it goes. That's it for us. We turn it over to Diesel and Mark Ryan for Offsides. Lonzo and I will be back on Monday to do it all over again. Thanks for listening. Sincerely, you guys are the best. We couldn't do this without you. I mean that. We love y'all. Hope we make your lunch break a little bit better every day. See you back here Monday on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville.